What's good, everybody? Dexter Henry, Brian Fonseca here. Live edition of New York Got Game special trade deadline show. We do this every year at the trade deadline. Brian, what's going on, man? This has been quite the week in trades. This has been one of the more very active NBA trade deadlines. We got a lot to talk about with the Knicks as well, too. But how you doing?
Doing all right. Giannis took a little bit of steam out of it by, going,
I'm
not
glad
going.
That's over.
You remember? So we've both seen The Wire.
I'm a huge fan of the Wire. You know that.
Your favorite show.
Favorite show
You know
of all
when
time.
Marlo gets introduced in the very beginning? Remember his very first line? Do it or don't, I have some place to be. That's where I'm at with Giannis. Like that's where I've been at with Giannis for weeks, months, almost a year at this point. But whatever. He didn't take the full steam out of it because we actually got a transaction from the Knicks.
We did, which that we're gonna fully get into.
We've known about for 2 months that they were pursuing Jose Alvarado. But
I'm glad that the Giannis stuff just came out today at around noon, and it was just like, hey, the Bucks are not trying to trade him right now. That it's over, and we can focus on the rest of the stuff. It made this, I won't say easier, but like a little bit more relaxing, I will say. But
I also say it's worth talking about briefly, just from the standpoint of like now what Milwaukee will do is create more leverage this summer.
Oh yeah,
they're gonna get more. I think once you go through the playoffs and teams are disappointed, teams lose, and they're gonna be like, all right, Giannis, can we get him? And then Milwaukee gets a better trade package. So you're looking at like Houston, Golden State, the Knicks. You've been saying if you want the Knicks to get Giannis, like if you want the Knicks to get Giannis out there, the time would be later on than mid-season. See how they do.
I've been on that.
Minnesota as well, Miami as well. They're all gonna have more to offer in the summer.
Yeah, I've been on that, and I think that I think the Bucks use this time to really evaluate the market and then see who knew they can get more in the summer. I thought it was all information gathering in the last week, but it's not what the people are here for. People are here to talk about the New York Knicks. A lot of things to go through with the Knicks right now, guys. First of all, let's start with the news. I'm going to build this up with the trade deadline. Last night after the game, Knicks won their 8th straight. I was in the building at the Garden. It was a fantastic environment at the Garden. Everybody was rocking. One of the Knicks' best wins of the year.
Yeah.
Arguably the best home win of the year.
Yeah.
For sure. But a deal was done. I was on the way home, and the deal was done in which the Knicks got off the contract of Gershon Yabusele and traded him to the Bulls without attaching a pick, which was interesting to me. And a great win for the Knicks. Says a lot about Chicago and how they do business.
Jesus.
But it was a great move. They get Jalen Terry and
Dalen Terry.
I'm sorry. Yes, Dalen Terry.
Doesn't matter. He'll be out the league soon.
Yeah.
All due respect.
Here's the thing. And, I saw the move initially, and I was like, wow, they got off Gershon Yabusele's contract. They didn't attach it.
That's what you saw?
What?
That's what you saw?
That's what I saw.
I saw some people like, oh, they got a backup wing. They got a 3-and-D wing. I'm like, come on, bro.
I saw some of that. And there were people talking about, he's shooting whatever from downtown. 40%.
Yeah.
On 46 attempts.
On 46 attempts.
Like, come on. Let's
if you know a Chicago Bulls fan in your life, they've probably told you, yo, this dude can't he can't play. Like they've been trying to get off of him.
And you had, I had Knicks fans friends who were texting me and they're like, Dex, this is it. And I was like, look, you have to look at this move and understand that this is a likely setup. This is why I said last night, a likely setup to another move.
Mm-hmm.
They got off of Gershon Yabusele's contract, which everybody was telling you. If you talk to people, they were saying, hey, the Knicks are going to have to attach picks to do it. The Knicks didn't have to attach a pick to do it, right? And they got back an expiring contract. Yes, nobody was sitting here saying, Terry was going to really do some things for the Knicks. I know my producer, Quincy Young, he was like, yo, he's a good young player. But I was just like, this is about the Knicks making the next move. They got an expiring contract. And what I said was, okay, maybe you'll take this expiring contract in Terry, attach it with another young player, maybe a Dadier, maybe it would be a Kolek, and you could try to go get yourself an Alvarado. Well, folks, they didn't even have to attach another player to that. They just added 2 picks, and today, 2 second-round picks, and today they land Jose Alvarado. You and I have been talking about Jose Alvarado. Stefan Bondy, our guest, who will join us later in the show, he's been talking about the Knicks targeting Jose Alvarado.
Mm-hmm.
He's been on the radar for quite some time. I think this is a fantastic trade. I think it's a fantastic 2 trades. Great deal of business by Leon Rose and Brock Aller to give themselves flexibility, bring in a guy like Alvarado, which fills a need, another point of attack defender, and is a backup point guard they can trust, a veteran they can trust here. this is, to me, a great piece of business. If you're a Knicks fan, again, this is not the move that's going to have you jumping for joy, but it's a good, solid move in which you look at what they get. And sorry, I forgot to add, as you can see there, cash considerations, because that's always important. We got to add those cash considerations. Brian, what's your reaction to the moves the Knicks made in the last 24 hours?
How many teams in the NBA have 2 Latinos on them? You know what I mean? You got Carl Towns, you got Jose Alvarado. Player option for $4.5 million next year. It's not a given that he opts out of that. He could opt in and then extend, but you have to see how this actually goes first. One of the frameworks you and I talked about was just Gershon Yabusele and 2 second-round picks for Jose Alvarado. So you effectively did that. And you have to look at the Bulls a little sideways here. You get Dalen Terry from them, and then you attach the picks to Dalen Terry to get Jose Alvarado. When it's like, hey, you could have probably gotten a pick in the Gershon Yabusele deal and didn't, and you just got Gershon Yabusele. So maybe look, and I think he's a salvageable player. Maybe it's better in Chicago, though I don't know what Chicago's doing, so I can't say that with confidence. But Jose, all the things we've talked about, the 3-point shooting, he's going to bring an element of that. The perimeter defense, which is the most important thing, the point of attack defense, because Deuce McBride, as we learned, he has a pretty serious sports hernia injury. He's going to be out for a while, potentially. Multiple reports indicate for the rest of the regular season. Like, he might not even come back to the playoffs. And if that's the language being used, it's entirely possible that in the playoffs, it's a slow build. He doesn't play as many minutes. Like, we don't know what that's going to look like. So in many ways, the Knicks benefit from this just from that standpoint, but also this is somebody they've been targeting before Deuce McBride was ever injured, which tells you how they feel about a Jose Alvarado potentially being in their playoff rotation, which I think is the key. You're getting him because you believe he can be in your top 9, top 10. I'm not going to overstate and say, he's going to come in and close every game or anything like that. But I do think this is somebody who has been in the playoffs before, has multiple instances in the playoffs. His last series, not so good. His first one was really good. So in that backup point guard role, this is what you want. And somebody who's from New York City, who understands the city, who knows what the Garden crowd is going to want to feed off of, having gone to Christ the King, been from Brooklyn, and all these different things. I think it's a great low-cost acquisition that you make at this stage.
I love the deal. And here's another thing. I love the deal because he's the kind of player you love. He's a pest.
By you mean literally me.
Literally you. Like, literally you. He's a pest. And for me, guys like him who can be irritants in the backcourt in the playoffs, I think it's a little undervalued sometimes, Brian. Guys who can pick up 94 feet, they're going to pressure the ball handler in the playoffs and can do that. It slows down the other team, doesn't allow them to get into their offense really quickly. It's underrated. We saw him frustrate Chris Paul, the great Chris Paul, a couple of years ago.
Among many others.
Right, among many others. That's an element you could throw at that I think sometimes gets underrated with people that matters in the margins. It doesn't show up in the box score. There isn't a stat for it. But if you can slow the other team down, they get into their offense a little bit late. It takes them a little bit longer to get the ball across half court. I like having a pest like that on the team. And I just think he's a good player. And this was before, if you want to call him the Deuce insurance now, because of Deuce being injured.
I don't know how I feel about that term.
Deuce insurance?
Yeah.
Okay, sounds like you're taking the number 2, but like that's not what I meant. Whatever. But who has insurance on that? Anyway, I think it's really good in terms of what Knicks can do, because I think even when Deuce is able to play again and come back, I think use lineups you can play with them together.
So that's the key, right? Like, what does Mike Brown love? He loves when players know their roles, know what they're supposed to do.
It's a great example.
He understands that. And with Jose Alvarado, I think the main thing is, even though he's maybe 6 feet tall, you can play him with just about anybody on the roster. I think Mike Brown's even going to experiment with, and we talked about the either or scenario, Jose Alvarado versus Tyler Kolek. And there are a lot of Knicks fans who want Tyler Kolek to continue to get his opportunities. I think there is a chance that we see both of them together in select lineups. Like, I think there's experimentation that we'll see with them maybe in March when they play teams that they're beating up on.
There's no reason to think that Mike Brown won't experiment with it, right? Not question that you're saying that. I'm just saying we've seen this all season long. We saw lineups early in the season through the NBA Cup run with Brunson, Kolek, Jordan Clarkson, who's been out the rotation but played some major minutes last night and actually was solid in his 24 minutes. We've seen this from him. So I think you can see that. I wonder what Alvarado's addition means for Jordan Clarkson, being in or out of the rotation, especially now with
Kolek
Deuce out.
also, yeah.
Kolek also.
But I think he can play with any of these dudes. Like, I think he's even going to experiment with, okay, Alvarado, are you going to have some gravity next to Jalen Brunson in spots?
Are you concerned about his lack of size? Because
Sure.
that's something that people are going to bring up. Oh,
if he's next to these guys in these lineups, sure. But if he's out there with OG, McHale, Mitch, you know what I mean? Like, and you're staggering him with some of the starters or some of the guys who play heavy minutes, less so. But again, is he somebody who's going to make all defense? Probably not. But is he somebody who's, I think, one of the better perimeters? Better perimeter defenders. I could speak. One of the better perimeter defenders in terms of guys you can get from a backup point guard standpoint. Yeah, like I think that's true. Also, there's going to be times where there's nothing you could do about the size, but he's been able to navigate it. The fact that he's even in the NBA is a little bit of a surprise because he's not somebody. If you look locally. What he did at Christ the King, what he did on the AAU circuit.
I did not see him as an NBA player.
Correct.
I didn't. Somebody watched him a little bit. I didn't see it.
And if you're being honest, people who watch the Catholic leagues and at Christ the King, I don't know how many of you thought that was the case either. Then he goes to Georgia Tech and he's a similar type of player, although playing at a higher level. And it's still not even a given he's going to be in the NBA. Sorry, so he's figured out a way to navigate through that.
I don't mean to cut you off. There's a trade in the NBA. The Clippers are trading Ivica Zubac to Ivica Zubac. Why did I mess up his name like that? Ivica Zubac is going to the Pacers. So the interesting move there for the Pacers.
Is better than Benedict Mathurin going in that deal?
Let me see who's in the deal for you. I did not,
because Mathurin's been in some. I've heard a couple things. He's been in some rumors. He's also a contract waiting to happen.
No more deets on the deal other than that yet. No more deets on the deal.
Who reported this?
Shams. Shams reported it. Now we have from Stein.
We don't always get the full details of the first tweet.
That's it. He just has Zubac to the Pacers. Nobody has the full details. Everybody's got that. Chris Haynes, same thing.
The agents aren't getting the texts out all in one shot. That's why.
So we don't have full details on that. But the Pacers getting a very good big man.
It's good to know for next year.
And how he can help them. So that's very, very interesting.
They got that draft pick too. Woo, boy, I tell you, the Knicks got to take advantage now.
we can get to that.
Take advantage.
We do have some guests that'll be coming on. Just want to let everybody know. My guy John Schmeelk from Knicks Film School will be joining us just around 2:30. We also will have Stefan Bondy, our beat writer from the New York Post. He will be joining us around 2:45, closer to the deadline. He'll be joining us because then he has to catch a flight to get to Detroit for the big game the Knicks have on Friday. And then we will also have Jared Schwartz, our post writer who does a lot of coverage with the Knicks and helps Stefan Bondy in a backup capacity. He'll be joining us after the deadline to recap all of this for us here. So some good stuff. Let us know if you're in the chat. Let us know how you're feeling about the Knicks moves. Do you like the Jose Alvarado move? Did you like the move to get off Gershon Yabusele? What do you think of the business Leon Rose did? Are you disappointed they didn't get Giannis? Well, nobody's getting Giannis. So, I mean, if you're disappointed, then well, this season, nobody's getting Giannis. And so, it is what it is. I'm really happy that's over with. Just like nobody's happy. Let's revisit that when we get to the draft. I'm really happy it's over with.
Let me ask you this. Over or under Jose Alvarado minutes for the rest of the regular season? Over or under 15.5 per game?
That's a good line. Because I feel like I was like 15's the number I would say. I'm going to say, because Deuce is out, I'm going to go say over.
I think slight over.
If Deuce was still here, I might have gone with a slight under, but I see this being 17-ish minutes a game.
I'd be surprised if Mike Brown doesn't like him immediately.
No, I think Mike Brown. I
think just to say, I think he, there's a world where if he even plays tomorrow against the Pistons, by the way, we'll have a watch along for that.
So hop and tapping with us for that.
Yo, I'll be surprised if he doesn't play a decent amount.
They need a player like him against the Pistons right now. They needed somebody like him. You know what I mean? They need that intensity, that energy. And I think a lot of us, we'll get to this. We won't spend too much time on this, but I think there's a lot of looking at how this team is going to look against the Pistons, how they're going to come out. But we'll get to that for another time. Let me ask you this, because we just talked about the Pacers deal. Is there any moves that were made by Eastern Conference opponents that you think really affects the Knicks and their championship chances this season?
I think there are moves that were interesting. So on a much smaller scale, so the Pistons punted on Jaden Ivey. They were like, "Yo, we're not going to extend you, so here, go somewhere else." They get back Kevin Huerter, which is interesting because one of the things for Detroit that I think they needed was additional shooting.
They did.
So you add Kevin Huerter, you have Duncan Robinson, you get rid of Jaden Ivey, who probably is a little more redundant now with the other stuff you have. And if he's not going to be your second scorer and you're not going to re-sign him, it makes sense moving off of him. We'll see if they do anything else. Boston getting Nikola Vucevic was really interesting because that also signaled to me, well, one, they saved some money in moving Anthony Simons, but two, I think they're going to try to get him to replicate some of what they lost with Kristaps Porzingis and Al Horford, at least from an offensive standpoint. From a defensive standpoint, he will not do either. From an offensive standpoint, he's going to try to replicate those things.
Yeah, gives him some spacing at the 5.
And also the size. That move kind of signaled to me, oh, we need size for the Knicks. And the Pistons move sort of signaled to me, hey, we need a little more shooting for the Knicks and Celtics and some of these other teams. And Nikola Vucevic now, with some of the other gang rebounders Boston has, and also obviously with Demeas Queta, who's had a good year in the paint, and then Tatum is expected to come back at some point. That's interesting. I think Vucevic now makes the Karl Anthony Towns, Mitchell Robinson matchup a little bit more interesting from the standpoint of, hey, somebody else could bang on the glass with the Knicks bigs. I'm not saying they're going to win those rebounding matchups, but
right, it's a body, it's a physical presence.
Yeah, and Porzingis wasn't going to do that last year in the shape he was in, and honestly, he's never been like that level of a rebounder, you know? So I think Vucevic now, he hasn't been awesome the last year or so in Chicago. From a production standpoint, he could obviously still produce, but now in a winning situation, Boston just tends to win these deals and just get the most out of it.
Yeah, I saw you tweet that. You're like, I'm never surprised.
Yeah, like it's just gonna work because it's the Celtics. And the other one, obviously, James Harden with Cleveland, which I think is worth talking about.
Well, I want to hear your thoughts on this because you are, the one time we had the watch party and we had my guy Combo here and we got into James Harden discussion. Yeah, now the people feel like you are the James Harden hater, so.
I mean,
look at you. You're not even denying it.
People saying he's better than Dwayne Wade is insane.
Well, I don't agree with that.
But I think
I'll let you go. Then I will share my thoughts on that.
I think they're a better regular season team with him because Darius Garland's just so banged up.
Yep.
And the toe injury has just been awful for him at this point. That being said, I don't know if it helps him in the playoffs, because of what we've seen from James Harden in the playoffs, which is what really matters for this team right now. And Donovan Mitchell, if this reverts back to, hey, Donovan Mitchell has to do everything in the playoffs, there's a world where they just lose early in the playoffs and he asks out in the summer because he's going to be extension eligible. And if they lose again, it's like, what is he going to stay there for at this point?
Money,
I guess, but
it's Cleveland.
You're right.
You're still living in Cleveland.
There are other teams in better situations who would probably want them.
Okay, so I love the point you made. I think I 100% agree with you. I think it makes them better for the regular season. Look, I'm going to say this. I think if you're a Knicks fan, that move shouldn't scare you.
Are you more worried about the Boston one?
I'm more worried about Boston, period. Just because I have more respect for what they do organizationally.
I think if you're a Knicks fan, you're probably only worried about Donovan Mitchell in that series.
So here's my
thing. You should be more worried about Evan Mobley, but that's more of an Evan Mobley problem.
Evan Mobley can be activated more by the playmaking of James Harden. I can see how that happens for them, right?
And he plays.
There's this world where James Harden does more. James Harden at this stage is a better player than Darius Garland, despite being 10 years older. But here's the thing. I think they got worse defensively.
I think it's about the same.
And I think that maybe.
Yeah.
But that's not good.
It's not good. Either way. It doesn't matter.
And how does Donovan Mitchell play to a more ball dominant guard next to him than Darius Garland was? I don't know.
I'm less worried about that, I think. I will be.
I don't know about that. And here's my thing: if you're the Knicks and you get to a game 6 or 7 with the Cavs, you should feel good. James Harden generally struggles and stuff. Now, look, at some point he will figure it out, or he will not. But
he had the one big game 6 against Boston.
Sixers.
Yeah.
Was six? No, when he was with the Sixers.
When he was
Boston,
with the Sixers.
That's what I meant.
And then game 7.
Yeah. Yeah. It was James Harden, the movie we've all seen before. Yeah. So that's it. I want to get to some comments that we have here. Shout out to Ada Alley Cat. He said the Knicks screwed up. Oh. Terry was a perfect fit for their needs for a big guard that can guard bigger guards. Instead, we flipped him for another undersized player. Terry stats for the Bulls: 14 minutes, 2 blocks, 3 steals.
That's not true. Every Bulls fan is like, Dalen Terry sucks. Like, Dalen Terry is not, like, what was he coming here to do? Like, he can't even crack their rotation consistently.
And the Bulls are not a good team. Right.
Like, they were showcasing him recently. That's why he was playing more, and they've had injuries.
So
Dalen Terry was not somebody the Knicks ever planned on keeping. And he's somebody who might be out of the league in 1 or 2 seasons.
I would not be losing sleep over Dalen Terry. Okay. I would not be losing sleep over Dalen Terry. And Ada Alley Cat, thank you for the love for the show. We appreciate you. Appreciate you so much. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button here in the New York Post Sports YouTube channel. Appreciate you. Ada Alley Cat had a second comment, and here's where you want to say you have a concern about size, and I brought this up to Brian before. I asked him that about Jose Alvarado. Does he have any concern about size? He said fans are enamored with sentimental faves like Hart and Alvarado are missing the boat. We need side. Towns, foul trouble, Mitch, health limitation. Okay, you could say that they could use some more size in an ideal world. I'm not inclined to disagree with you. We still have another 38 minutes before the deadline. They could still add another player. It's not impossible here. I don't think it's likely, but it's not impossible.
Yeah,
that's what I'll say.
Ideally, they would have also gotten Yves Missi in that deal, but that probably would have come at a cost that Knicks fans would have been like, "Oh hell no!" So I think that's the thing, and we know that there was interest there. It's been reported. We've talked about it as well. I think that would have been the great backup big to sort of add into this. We'll see if they get active on the buyout market in terms of the backup bigs. They're one of the only
possible.
They're one of the only teams with confidence who can throw 2 bigs out there, like 2 good bigs out. Well, 2 good bigs in terms of.
Oh, you mean out there in terms of playing at the same time?
Yeah, Cat and Mitchell Robinson. Yeah. So it's not like they don't have size at all, and they also have wings. Like OG is a wing with size. Mikhail also, from a length standpoint. So I do think they should get another big for security, unless they really do believe Ariel Hukporti can be.
Hukporti's shown stuff in small flashes, but not enough. I'm not losing no sleep over Dalen Terry. That's the point I'm saying. Yeah, no. Like, I understand the point of wanting size, but it's Dalen Terry, guys. No shade to Dalen Terry, but it's Dalen Terry. Like, somebody else in the comment.
Him getting traded for Gershon Yabusele says a lot.
I think that's a great point. And Mr. Knicks 101 in here says Terry doesn't even play in a rebuilding team, like we were saying. I agree. I think that matters some. And look, man, I think that Leon Rose did the Lord's work out here getting rid of Yabusele without giving up a pick. I'm going to say that again. Without giving up a pick. Thank you, Chicago Bulls. And taking Dalen Terry and then flipping him with 2 picks to Jose Alvarado.
Yeah.
If you want to tell me you're concerned about Alvarado's sign, fine. But I think what we can't argue about here, what's inarguable, and Brian and I have talked about this all year, we have used the word there needs to be an infusion of energy and physicality. I know you don't think about that coming from a 6'6" guard, but he does that. Mm-hmm. He's going to bring that energy and infusion. And it's not just him being a fan favorite. It's not just him being from Brooklyn and all this other stuff and that people will like. He can bring that energy. And I think it's a good move. It's a low-cost move. Mm-hmm. The Knicks needed to make moves on the margin. This is a good move on the margin. For me, it's really not that deep.
Yeah. There are worse ways to use 15 to 20 minutes a game.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So just some programming notes for everybody. We're just flipping some things around. Stefan Bondy will be joining us in about 5 minutes. He'll be hopping on at 2:30 with us to talk on for a bit. he'll be coming to us from the airport, so we appreciate his time that he can give us. With that, appreciate everybody with comments in the chat. Send your comments, send your questions. We will answer that, and we will talk to you. Who do we got here? Bricks Nation
9650.
I'm guessing Dottier's trade value is dog crap. Rather had seen him get traded instead of those two SRP. Alvarado isn't picking up his player option, so trading to SRP for 3-4 month rentals pricey. Nah, man. Here's the thing. I'm gonna take your thing into two parts here, Bricks Nation.
Mm-hmm.
Dottier's trade value is dog crap. It's hard to have trade value when you don't play, right? Like that's the thing. Right. Unless you're like Yabusele, where it's more of a matter of fit and somebody thinks they can get something in their system. And to be fair to the Bulls, if you look at the Bulls roster construction, we got a trade.
We have the Pacers trade filled out.
Go ahead.
This is from Shams. So Ivica Zubats and Kobe Brown are going to the Pacers. To the Clippers, Benedict Mathurin, who I guess I'll get to him in a second. Isaiah Jackson, 2 first-round picks and a second-round pick.
2 firsts.
Yeah.
I'm a Zubac fan, so Zubac is a really good center.
He makes a ton of sense with Tyrese Halliburton and what they're going to do. And Siakam.
And Siakam. I like that move for Indiana.
Me too.
Indiana's going to be a problem if Halliburton's back and healthy next year. They could be a problem.
I used to joke that Jonathan Kuminga was Western.
You said Benedict Mathurin was in the trade?
Yeah. I used to joke that Jonathan Kuminga was Western Conference Benedict Mathurin, and Benedict Mathurin was Eastern Conference Jonathan Kuminga, and now they've switched conferences because Jonathan Kuminga's with the Hawks.
I kind of like that though. I like that. Sorry, I wanted to get back to what
they're the same guy.
What Bricks Nation said,
which is not a bad thing. I think they're both talented, but they need the ball a lot, and they're frustrating at times.
They are Bricks,
but they can score.
Dottier's trade value, to use your word, dog crap. Yes, he's not been playing. Mike Brown doesn't trust to play him. Mike Brown's been playing Mo Diawara, who I actually like.
Dottier hasn't earned it.
He hasn't earned it.
You've all watched the Knicks this year extensively. You see Diawara, he pops off the screen immediately. Like he does things that you've never seen Pacome Dottier do that we've expected to see by now.
Not looking lost on defense.
And just
like that.
And taking a dribble. Damn. You know what I mean? With confidence. Damn. Like getting to the rim. Like that when you watch Dottier play, like you're not really seeing that. You're not really seeing it pop in that way.
No, I agree with you, and we were hoping to.
He's still really young. Like he's still really young. Like maybe, but
maybe there's still time for him to develop.
But Diawara is really young too, and he came in and
I think I think the Knicks have something with Diawara that I really like here. Now you said Alvarado isn't picking up his player option. Maybe not. I would say you're not probably wrong on that. That's probably likely. So you trade him for rental. But here's the thing. I do not think trading 2 second-round picks that are going to be late second-round picks for a rental is pricey. I don't. The goal is to try to win a championship. Is this a player on the margins that can help you do that? Yes. If you win a championship, I'll tell you what you won't be thinking about. 2 second-round picks that you rented for Jose Alvarado. You will not be thinking about that at all.
Even if you get to the finals. Even if you
just get to the finals, it was worth it to do it. Especially now with Deuce being out for the time that he's out. I think that even makes it more of the value of why it was worth it.
One last.
I'm not worried about it. One more detail to the trade?
On the Pacers deal, 2026 pick is protected 1 through 4 and 10 through 30. So if they go into the top 4 in the lottery, which they're going to try to do, then then it converts. But apparently the Clippers get it if it's 5 through 9. That I've never heard that makeup before.
That's some crazy protections on that.
In 2029, unprotected.
Yeah,
that is really I think that's the first that the Pacers got back from the Pelicans during the finals.
Oh, yeah,
like their own first.
Yeah, I remember that. Right, their own first. Yeah,
I think that's how they're able to put the protections on it. Also,
on it. That's why.
There was other comments that I think are worth it, but to your point, yeah, I totally agree.
We have Steph coming on very, very shortly. Mr. Knicks 101 says, any news? Thank you for the $5 super chat. Any news on when Deuce comes back? Alvarado and Deuce backcourt will be pesky. I agree. Underside but pesky.
Oh yeah.
The news on Deuce, and we'll talk to Steph about this when he hops on with us in a little bit. The news on Deuce, he's likely to be back, closer to the playoffs, if not at the playoffs. So that's gonna be interesting because we're gonna definitely look at that. It sounds like a lot of you here like the Alvarado trade. and think that he can help. Alley Cat, I know you seem to not like this. I hear you on size, but I do think that Alvarado can help. I feel like you might feel differently. Um, Dev Wheeler says that this Alvarado situation reminds him of the Josh Hart trade.
Josh Hart opted in, didn't he? Didn't he?
Yep.
And then got his
and
extension.
Then got his extension.
Interesting.
It's not saying that. I'm not saying that's not possible. Let's see how Alvarado likes being home. Let's see how he plays. If he performs well, could be good. I was a big fan of the Josh Hart trade, and obviously that's one of the Knicks' best trades in history. Here's what I do want to say, as we will have Steph coming on shortly.
I'm gonna ask him my over/under question.
One of the things you can realize about Leon Rose is if the Knicks have made, I will call, a mistake on a player, right?
Mm-hmm.
They've moved off the player. They've moved them. They've sold on it. Cam Reddish, which the whole a lot of y'all out there was in that Cam Reddish hive. I was not.
Remember that. The same Reddish, hive as the Alonzo Trier hive. I remember that.
Yabusele now, he's moved off of players when it hasn't worked out. We can go back to the Kemba Walker, Evan Fournier backcourt that was supposed to work. And the Knicks have moved off of things when they don't work out. And I think there's something to be said about that. But what they're able to flip them for and trade it for is really impressive. Is really, really, really impressive. Shout out to East Blue Drew. East Blue, what's up, man? Haven't seen you in a while. What's up?
Blue Drew?
I woke from sleep. Felt like we got the same player archetype. Don't be talking about Pacome. He's on his way.
On his way where?
Out? Where? We don't know on his way. You hope he's on his way to developing more. I don't know where he's on his way to. I haven't seen it. Right now, he looks like he's on his way to playing more in Westchester. So, we'll see. Okay, Alley Cat, you said it's pronounced AA the Alley Cat. Got you. Dexter, my point is that we need a post-up scorer and defender more than we need another guard. I'm a 50-year-old Knicks fan who coached and played on a high level. I do know the game. Not saying you don't know the game. I'm not saying they don't need size. I guess I'll ask you this, AA the Alley Cat. Who's the guy that you would have wanted them to get at the same price point of what they gave up for Jose Alvarado? Who's the guy you would have liked to have seen them get? You think on that. We will talk more about it right now. We have my guy, our great Knicks beat reporter here for the New York Post, joining us from the airport. It's my guy, Stefan Bondy, joining me now. Steph, what's going on, man?
Man, I'm not quite at the airport, but I will be there soon.
Okay, sorry. I put you someplace early where you were not yet.
Yeah. I'm almost there.
You're almost there. That's good. Thank you for joining, bro. I guess quickly I'll go with, what do you make of what the Knicks have done business-wise? Moving on from Yabusele, getting Alvarado. You and I have talked a lot about him. What do you make of what the Knicks have done here right before the trade deadline?
Yeah, I mean, I like it. I think we talked, the other day, what would make this a successful trade deadline? It would be if they take somebody who's not in the rotation and get somebody who will help them. So, I've been advocating for Jose Alvarado signing or trade for a long time now. And so I can't go back and say it was a bad deal. It was obviously a great deal. From my perspective, I've been championing for a guy who comes in, plays defense, brings that feistiness, that competitiveness, that attitude. So I think it was a great move. And obviously, Yabusele, if you go back to when they signed him and you take that timeline, you say, oh, it was a mistake. But they cut their losses. He was not contributing to this team, so they got somebody who will be.
Yeah. Were you shocked? Because I was a little shocked last night that they got off of Yabusele without having to attach a pick, or is that just the Bulls being the Bulls?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm gonna be honest. I have to wait and see how that trade plays out.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we got to wait and see that. One thing, and I'll let Brian take some stuff.
Meaning, like, I don't know. I know what's been reported. I got to see what's exactly involved, because it's going to end up being a 3-team trade.
Right, it's going to be in a 3-team. Okay, 3-team deal in there. Okay, so we got to see how that all expands out from there. In terms of Alvarado, we had a fan here in the chat who said he was, seems like he's a little bit concerned with Alvarado, Knicks getting him with his lack of size. Do you think that's a concern? It's not a big concern for me personally. Not saying the Knicks don't need some size, Steph, but are you concerned about Alvarado's lack of size and then what he can bring to this Knicks team?
Yeah, I mean, listen, lack of size is something you always can be concerned with. It's obviously more advantageous in basketball to be bigger. But he is what he is. I think you're not going to get. I think what the price point that they're getting him at is pretty good. And when you talk about what you're concerned with his size, it's usually defense, and he makes up for that in a lot of different areas.
I definitely agree with that.
Steph, wanted to ask you this. I do think that Jose will probably be very complimentary to a lot of different dudes. Could you see in the way that Mike Brown has coached this year, him mix and matching him with even Brunson, even Kolek, not just OG Anunoby, obviously Mikal Bridges and guys like that.
Yeah, I think there's going to be a lot of Jose playing with Jalen, for sure.
Yeah, and I like that.
And do you think that he'll play Friday, or is this going to be a longer wait until his debut?
I don't know yet. I don't know when he's arriving. They play. Yeah, I don't know his timeline for when he'll be there yet.
What could you say about, because Deuce McBride's injured now and he's going to be out for a while? Well, one, what does the timeline for that look like, if you can clarify it for us? And two, do you believe they would have gotten Jose Alvarado independent of Deuce's injury situation since they had interest prior?
Yes, I do think they would have gotten him independent of Deuce. That obviously made it a little bit more, that they needed to do it a little bit more. And, I think the timing of the report of when Deuce's injury happened, that he's going to be out for so long, it happened after they agreed to the deal. That's not a coincidence. Same thing happened 2 years ago. They held on to the news that OG Anunoby was getting elbow surgery until right after they traded for Bojan Bogdanovic and Alec Burks. So, they clearly knew about Deuce's injury. Maybe the competition didn't know the extent of it, and that was done purposely.
Yeah, it's definitely a shrewd move. We have 23 minutes to the deadline, Steph. Do you think the Knicks have any other moves up their sleeve, or do you think this will be it for them?
My understanding is they are not talking to any. I mean, they're not talking to any other teams. It's about an hour ago, and I would not expect any moves. But if a team calls them, says at the last minute, this is something we want to do, and it sounds great, they'll do it. But I do not expect a deal.
All right, not expecting a deal. What would you say to the Knicks fans that are disappointed? I guess a lot of other people, but they're disappointed they're not getting Giannis, because nobody's getting Giannis until the summer. But what would you say to those fans that may be a little disappointed about Giannis not coming to New York?
Yeah, I think it's the best case scenario for the Knicks, because they weren't, as I've been saying all along, they weren't going to win a bidding war unless they completely gutted their team and did this complicated three-way trade where they got draft picks back for guys. It really wasn't realistic that they were going to get Giannis at the trade deadline based on the draft capital that they didn't have. So you get a chance to see what this team can do. That was really the goal all along, is to put this team together and see if you can make the NBA Finals. We heard what James Dolan said. You can see if they do that, and then you revisit Giannis in the summer. I think it's, for the Knicks, it's the best case scenario.
I would happen to agree. I guess last thing, Steph, before we let you go, because you got to get to the airport. I know there still could be a move. It's probably unlikely with 21 minutes to go, but just looking at these two moves that they made and landing Alvarado, how do you grade what the Knicks have done here at the deadline? Professor Bondy, what grade would you give?
Well, we're removing the Miles situation. I mean, yeah. So just based on the trades that they did,
Yeah,
I give them a B+. I think, I understand that 2 first-round picks sounds daunting. I have to really see where, these aren't. I haven't reported yet or heard, these aren't the Wizards picks, which are going to be great. I think it's the Knicks' own pick. So, but don't quote me on that. I know I'm saying it so everybody's hearing, but I don't know that for sure. But listen, if these are 2 mid to late second round picks, one next year, one this year, I think it's a good move for Jose Alvarado because the timeline was win now, and you had a player that in Yabusele who totally didn't work out, who signed with the Knicks before he knew what system he was coming into, and he wasn't a good fit for the system, and he just didn't look like a player that could contribute. So you swap that into somebody who I believe will help this team, and it gives the team some flavor. I mean, Jose's a local guy.
Yep.
He has attitude. He punches people in the face. So I think that's I think it's a positive move for more than one reason.
I do agree with that. One last thing, Steph, because you're about to head to Detroit. Knicks obviously have a big weekend coming up at the Pistons, then in Boston on Sunday. Just with the Pistons, how big of a game is this for the Knicks, especially after what we saw from them the last time they were in Detroit? They got beat down by 30. How big is it this game, not just for the Knicks to try to win, but also how they come out in this game? What would you say about that?
Yeah, I think it is important. Like, if you don't want to go there and get blown out like you did last time, they're on this win streak right now. They had a great game, great double overtime game last night. You want to continue that momentum, and this is now the matchup. The right in the column now. The trade deadline is cleared, and the smoke is cleared, and you're still looking at, in my opinion, as the two front runners for the East is stayed the same. It's still the Knicks and it's still the Pistons. And so, yeah, people are expecting this to be a big matchup in the playoffs. So, you want to set a tone. With that being said, in May and June, people aren't going to remember a game in mid-February.
Nah, you're not right about that. But they might remember Jose Alvarado if he's able to have an impact on the Knicks, who they got here. Everybody, that is Stefan Bondy. He has a flight to catch. He'll be covering the Knicks in Detroit for us here at the New York Post. Steph, appreciate you, man. I will talk to you soon at some point after this weekend. We will chat.
All right, bro.
All right, man. Peace. Right. Once again, everybody, check out Stefan Bondy's work. He will have a lot of great stuff coming out. His column about the Knicks after the trade deadline, you can catch it at NewYorkPost.com. Shout out to everybody in the chat. A lot of you strong in here with the comments. Some of the regulars in here, appreciate all the comments. AA, the Alley Cat, Bricks Nation, East Blue Drew, we appreciate you. Erica Block in the building. What's up, Erica? In here, I saw Sam Antona, our wonderful technical director, waved her hand in the beginning. Didn't want to not shout you out, Sam, because you might try to comfort me, so we don't want that. Good stuff there from Steph. We will have John Schmeelk of Knicks Film School joining us soon, and also Jared Schwartz of the Post will be joining us as well. Is your IFB good?
No,
not good. You can't hear?
No,
okay, we'll have to we'll get that replaced for you.
Yeah, we gotta switch that
so you can hear. Couple of y'all had some good questions and comments in here. East Blue Drew said he didn't want nothing crazy messing up what we got. To that point by East Blue Drew, it's not. I don't want to say recency bias, Brian, because of the 8-game winning streak. The Knicks are balling right now. It was like 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, maybe. Brian and I did a show about why the Knicks stunk at the time, right? And they stunk. It was bad.
Reverse jinx. You're welcome.
Everybody here was asking me stuff. My producer was like, "Yo, what's up with the Knicks? What's up with the Knicks? What's going on?" Everybody was asking. I think the way this team is played, I like how they've responded, but I found myself saying, I like this team, and I like how I always like this team and how it's built. Maybe they just need time to cook. So that's why I'm also kind of glad that Giannis stuff is out the way. We can just see this team and what they are and what adjustments can they make. And I think it'll be fine, right? Like I think it'll be fine. You just have to see what this team is able to do now with Alvarado. Can they get back healthy? Can they stay healthy? Maybe it's a blessing in disguise that, Deuce, the injury happens now. I always say that timing is the interesting thing with injuries. He has time to get right. I don't know how he's going to heal. He's going to have surgery.
It's a hernia, man.
It's a hernia. Like sports hernia.
That could linger for a minute.
It can. He's undergoing surgery tomorrow. And according to Steph, recovery will put him back for the playoffs. I should have asked Steph a little bit more about that, and I forgot to.
Well, he got to run, so there's also that.
He had to catch a flight.
A couple other trade notes because a couple other trades happened / got updated and things like that. Very small ones, but the Mavs are getting Tyus Jones from the Hornets.
Orlando just dumped him to the Hornets. Yeah.
By the way, the Hornets they got picks in that deal.
Yep.
And they basically just saved some money for Orlando, and now they're flipping him for Malachi Branham, former San Antonio Spur, who I didn't realize had wound up in Dallas.
I know he's still in the league.
Hornets are man, I told you they're my favorite league pass team this year, and they've delivered so far in the last month and change. 3-team trade summary. The Bucks are getting Ousmane Dieng, so he keeps moving around.
God, he's moved around.
he went from OKC to the Hornets to somebody else and wound up with the Nets, and now he's with the Bucks.
That man has not known where to go in the last 48 hours.
It's brutal because, like, what do you do? You know what I mean?
Stay near an airport.
Just
stay near an airport hotel.
Just talking to your agent. Nigel Hayes-Davis is also going to the Bucks from the Suns. That's unfortunate. He was playing awesome in Europe. They signed him. He hasn't done much. The Suns are getting Cole Anthony. Speaking of guys who played in the Catholic League.
From the Bucks to the Suns.
Speaking of guys who play in the Catholic League, I'm pretty sure played against Jose Alvarado when he was at Malloy.
Yep.
Cole Anthony's going to be there, as is Amir Coffey going to the Suns as well.
I like that for the Suns.
Yeah, that's interesting. And the Bulls are getting
they've been active.
The Bulls are getting Nick Richards, so they finally got a center.
Somebody mentioned Nick Richards in the chat just now. I saw. I apologize. I'm looking back through. Somebody had mentioned Nick Richards, and the Knicks may be looking at him. Nick Richards is somebody that Steph and I talked about on Monday's episode of Got Game. That could have been a target as a big man that could be low cost. I brought him up to Steph, and he said the Knicks have always had interest in him. There had been some talks, but didn't know what the price was. So it obviously wasn't a high price.
Also played at high school here as well. He played at St. Mary's.
Since we are 13 minutes to the deadline, if you were looking for a last-minute Knicks trade, let us know who you'd like. Now, the Alley Cat said he would like to add some size. The Alley Cat is also very big on trying to get a post presence, because I saw you ask about who could they trust to give the ball in the post. Now, listen, you're not wrong. Ideally, you would like to give it to Cat, but that's not been his game to give it to him in the post, right? Like,
ain't too many guys getting post ups.
That's
nowadays.
The other thing I would say. And maybe the Alley Cat, because you said how old you were, and I'm not saying that that's old school basketball. No, yeah, you making it sound like I'm joking. I'm not.
I know what you're about.
I'm about to, because the Alley Cat said that he coaches. So I'm saying that listen. Brian and I are with you on this. We like a little post-up game.
I agree, 100%.
But we understand that a lot of it isn't in the
league.
But
the NBA is the NBA,
right?
You know?
And so I feel,
ain't too many Al Jeffersons walking around no more, you know?
I feel you, brother, but it's like there ain't too many of those guys left. You know what I mean? So it's gonna be really tough to do that. I like it. I like it as an option. I wish it came back more into the game. So I hear you. But I think just having size in a different way, whether it's either on the wing, is it a guy? Somebody mentioned Sadiq Bey. Sadiq Bey is a guy that Brian and I had spoke about.
The Pels aren't trading anybody. It's weird, except Jose.
Well, the word has been, and I was talking to somebody about this last night. The word has been that they are asking for a lot when it comes to people trying to do business with them, which is why I was surprised. And we still do not know exactly what the picks are. I, like Steph, assume that these are not the Washington first rounder that will convey into 2 very good seconds. I don't think the Knicks would have paid that and given that up, because you know what the Knicks might need that for? They might need it for Giannis if they carved him in the summer, maybe. So they probably don't want to give that up just yet, right? I think if it's 2 low-level seconds, it's fine.
Yeah, or even if it's just heavily protected. You know,
could be that. It could be that as well.
Could be top 40 protected or whatever.
Yeah,
I mean, those would likely convert anyway because the Knicks have been so good.
But, it would likely.
We got some other comments.
Likely do that, and we'll get to a couple comments, and we're gonna bring in our next guest.
Our boy Greg loves the Greg Film Stuff. That is, loves the move for GTA. I'm sure other Greg does not.
No, because his boy Kolek won't be playing.
Well, maybe, maybe. Chico Bonito just yelled 2 names at us: Bagley and Mamu Kelashvili. And by the way, I don't think you're getting Mamu from the Raptors.
I don't think so either.
Bagley is with Dallas now.
He just got moved. I saw that.
Which, you know, now we get to enjoy the parallel universe. What if they drafted him instead of getting Luka? Which I've thought about for at least 2 years at this point. But yeah, I think I think it is what it is. Wemby's not like a post up big alley cat. Like hey, Giannis primarily goes downhill. Like they'll post up occasionally, but
Yeah, him and Wemby are the guys who post up occasionally.
but Wemby's also 9'11". Like, of course he's gonna be able to like get his shot off against anybody.
right.
You know? I mean, the Thunder won a title last year. Who was posting up on their team? Shea occasionally, and that's really it. But like teams are just not generating post ups in the way no one is having or producing an offense that is generally post up, and they're not taking out 12 possessions of the game, 15 possessions of the game to post up one dude. Like, unless you have somebody special on the block like that.
Yeah.
And regardless, none of the guys you mentioned except for Giannis has a title. Like Alperen Şengün is a post-up guy, quote unquote, but he's somebody that Houston would be open to moving for Giannis probably if it comes down to it.
I like Alperen Şengün.
I do too, but like, so
the bigs are really posted. Like you're talking about Şengün, Jokic. I'm saying that post high for today's standards.
Yeah.
Not
Jokic is also the best player, but not because he's a post-up big. It's because he could do everything really well.
He's a good
like yesterday, he shot 1 for 13 from 3. Good luck seeing him do that again. You know what I mean?
Like,
and
some of that was some good defense from Mitchell Robinson. We can get to that another time. But
what post-up big are they gonna get? Who's like a backup big that like, who is
I don't
that?
know who the guy is. There's not many in the league. But
yeah, there's not many at all.
But here we go. Let's bring in. I got my guy here joining us from Knicks Film School. A lot of you also know him for his work with the New York Giants, doing a great job on their site. It's my guy John Schmeelk here with us now. John, what's going on, my guy?
Guys, what's going on, fellas? How are you? We got 10 more minutes to go here, right? Or 8, whatever we're at here.
Yeah, man. We had you right here as the deadline is approaching. I guess since you brought that up, Schmeelk, do you want to see the Knicks make another move? Do you think there's another move? Bondy, we just had Stefan Bondy on, and he said not likely. But what do you want? Would you like to see another move?
No, I don't think so. I think at this point, you're holding your assets for a potential offseason move if the run with this group doesn't work. I wasn't even all that keen on an Alvarado move just because I wasn't sure how much playing time there was going to be for him. But once we found out about the Deuce McBride injury, I think that became, something that made a lot more sense for the Knicks to do. So, no, I think they stand pat. I think you feel good about their rotation, playing, 8 to 9 guys in the postseason, depending on when or if Deuce gets back. They're very heavy on guards now. I think that's always been a thing. They don't really have that backup big wing that you could bring in off the bench to kind of back up OG Anunoby. But look, those guys don't grow on trees. Every NBA team is looking for another 6'8" guard that can guard 3 positions. So, no, I don't think that there's any other moves to make because I don't think there's any other room on the roster that's going to get significant playing time as a member of the Knicks. No, I think they're done. Yeah. We'll see how they do this year, and then they'll see where they are in terms of Giannis in the offseason.
So, John, tell me about this. So, why you said you were not initially keen on the Alvarado move before you heard about the Deuce injury. Why were you not keen on the Jose Alvarado move or them trading for him?
I mean, the cost was so small. I probably would have been okay with it anyway, to be honest with you.
Okay.
A couple second-round picks, not a big deal. I just didn't think he was going to play more than 7-8 minutes a game, to be honest with you. Once you throw in Deuce, even if Kolek's out of the rotation, I just wasn't sure how much he was going to play. So that's why I didn't necessarily think it was necessary, just because of the numbers in the rotation. But once Deuce got hurt, you needed another guy to play significant minutes that could defend, especially at the point of attack, coming off the bench and to be in more defensive heavy lineups. So that's why I think it became much more important once that injury became clear.
Yeah, no, I like that. I've been praising, I don't know how you feel about this, and I didn't see a lot of your reaction. I didn't look on Twitter, but I think Leon Rose did the Lord's work here, getting off for Gershon Yabusele and then flipping this to Jose Alvarado. I think this is a fantastic move. I know it's not like a earth-shattering trade, but I think this is a pretty dope move by Leon Rose and Brock Aller too. What do you make of the work that they've done here overall?
Yeah, look, I'm concerned about trying to keep Mitch next year, and with all the aprons and all the rules regarding that. So I think getting off of that player option for Yabusele next summer is very important. So whether or not they got Alvarado in here or not, I know he also has a player option, probably less likely to activate it than Yabusele is. So whether or not they got Alvarado, or I think just getting off of that player option was important, just so they have some more room to operate under the second apron next year, to bring back a Mitchell Robinson, to bring back a Landry Shamet, and then work whatever other machinations they want to make in terms of improving the roster.
John, what do you think about how this could impact Tyler Kolek's minutes? Because that's one of the things that a lot of Knicks fans are concerned about. And they were saying, hey, the Knicks have Kolek. They don't really need Jose Alvarado. But now with Deuce McBride out, do you think they'll play together? Because it's something we talked with Stefan Bondy about briefly. He seems to think that he'll complement a lot of guys. But how do you think this will affect Kolek specifically?
I think without Deuce here, Kolek will still play. I think he'll be part of the rotation. I do think it's important to pair him with a defensive-oriented guard, which Alvarado obviously is. So I do think that helps in that regard, even though then your backcourt's not exactly huge. It's pretty small. And Kolek puts good effort in on defense. He's just very limited physically in terms of what he can do. Look, I think Kolek can play with anybody offensively. He's a ball mover. He's done a pretty decent job hitting the open three this year. He's going to mesh with teammates on that end of the floor. So the question is, once the physicality and the pressure defense increases in the postseason, can Kolek handle that, even on the offensive side of the ball? We've seen him when he gets ball pressured full court. He has some issues handling the ball sometimes. He doesn't run as free flowing on the offense, passing the ball when he's got guys up in his face, bigger and longer defenders. So I did wonder how well that would translate when you're playing a team like the Pistons in the postseason, right? And they're going to play up on you. They're going to grind you. They're going to bump you. They're going to be physical with you. So I like having Alvarado there, but I think in the regular season, at least for now, you are going to see those two guys play together.
Yeah, and I'd like it too. I agree with you. I like that point you brought up there, John, about how Kolek handles the pressure. I mean, he's handled it well sometimes. We saw that against the Lakers. I'm trying to remember the game I was there against the Lakers. Even Marcus Smart was pressuring him, and he handled it pretty well. But it's like, how are you going to do this in the playoffs when it counts? That's the
consistently
thing.
Too.
Consistently,
like, because of the like a lot of people forget, like Kolek's really good performances tend to be loud because they're on national TV, but then nobody talks about like last night, for example.
Right. Not that he was terrible last time, but it was
it's whatever.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah, but there was a reason he was taken out of the rotation for a few games, right? There were a few games where he didn't play.
We agree.
To your point, he was inconsistent. And that's what people always say, why didn't Tom Thibodeau play him more last year? Well, if he's consistent now in his second year, how inconsistent do you think he would have been as a rookie? I mean, it would have been much worse. So, guys do actually improve. They are just the same player from year to year. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, I'm with you. It has to be consistent. And young dudes, it's hard to be a young player in the NBA, man. So I think having a vet in there like they have now with Alvarado, I think that'll help.
Yeah, no, I thought John, even pre-Deuce injury, this was some type of I don't even know if Kolek insurance is the word. I think maybe a straight up replacement. Now that Deuce McBride is out, they're gonna have to play together to some degree, like you said. And I think also part of this is like, yeah, you can't go into the playoffs be like, yo, Kolek got it. It's too early in his career for that. Too early in his development for that. Like, you have to be able to shore up, especially with somebody who's known for having a defensive reputation in Jose Alvarado and can shoot, 36, 37% from three.
And John, I think we've gotten to the point too, by the way, where with the way this Knicks team plays, you don't need to enhance the offense. You're looking to shore up the defense, right? Like the offense has been consistently 100%. Good from week to week. You want to make sure you have enough defenders to keep the streak they're on now where they're defending a lot better. Granted, I know they're not playing the best teams and teams have not shot the three well during the stretch. I get all that, and they're all fair caveats. But you want to make sure you play good enough defense. That's what's going to hold this team back, guys. The offense is not going to be what holds this team back. It's going to be how they play on defense, and having another guy that can do that in the backcourt to help a guy like Brunson, who we know, again, as great as he is, he's not a good defender, will certainly help.
100%.
Yeah. We're all on the same page with that here. Is there a trade out there, John, that maybe you saw another team make where you looked at it and said, well, I'm going to have two questions for you. I'm going to go with this one first. That you were like, man, I wish the Knicks made that trade. Since we're a minute away from the deadline and I do not think anything's coming down, was there a trade that another team made or a player they got where you're like, damn, I wish the Knicks had actually got that guy here at the trade deadline?
Ones that interested me, the Knicks they couldn't have done it because they didn't have the capital. But I do wonder what this team would have looked like with an Anthony Davis type of defender in the front court added to the group. Wow. And again, it's not something they could have done. They couldn't have put even the salaries together to match that without giving up key pieces, and I wouldn't have wanted to give up key pieces in a trade like that. So it's completely unrealistic. But if you could have done like a Towns, Anthony Davis swap, if Anthony Davis was healthy, he's not. So again, this is just me talking.
That's the thing, John. That's the thing.
This is just me talking hypothetically in a world where Anthony Davis was not injured. What that would look like with two defensive-oriented big men with Davis and Mitch versus having Towns. But again, that's just me having fun in my brain. The Bulls' backup guard, Dosunmu, right? I think that's a guy that I think would have been interesting to bring in as a. But again, I don't think you bring him in and Alvarado in, right? I think it's one or the other. As a backup guard that's big, can defend with some offensive upside. That was the other trade where I'm like, all right, I could have seen that been a move that the Knicks would have tried to pull off.
Yeah, and among other things, I would assume who goes to the Timberwolves, because they were going to get him or Kobe White. It looked like he costs 4 second-round picks.
Yeah.
That's right.
So steeper price tag for that as well.
Which Dosunmu, who I brought up with Stefan Bondy earlier this week on the episode, and he was saying that the Knicks had, looked into that. Yes, his price was a lot steeper. I don't know if the Knicks would have been willing to pay that, along with the salaries they would have had to put together to match him there. Out of the Knicks, Brian and I talked about this a little bit, John. Out of I would say the other teams in the Eastern Conference, Cleveland, Detroit, Boston, I'm gonna put in there the moves that they made.
Mm-hmm.
Did you like the moves from any of those teams? Were there any that made you say, that really could impact things in a matchup against the Knicks? What about those moves that those other teams made? Did you like any, and did any of them make you say, hey, this could really impact this matchup if they played the Knicks in the playoffs?
The Vucevic trade is interesting. I will say this though, like if they end up putting Vucevic on Karl Anthony Towns, now I do think the Celtics are too smart for that, and they'll probably try to hide Vucevic on Josh Hart if he's in the starting lineup or something like that. Yeah. But with Hart shooting, maybe he could even kind of, he's shooting better from 3. Maybe he can take advantage of that this year. But I do think that makes them vulnerable. I mean, we all talk about how Karl Anthony Towns doesn't defend well in the middle. Vucevic is worse. Like, he's a terrible defensive player, just terrible. So I do think it hurts the Celtics there, but it does make them a lot more dangerous offensively, reintroducing a stretch 5 into that lineup after losing Porzingis in the offseason. So I think that's interesting. I do think the Trae Young Anthony Davis combo in Washington next year could be fun, and they could actually not be bad if those two guys are actually healthy and play well together. The Heat didn't do anything, right, when the deadline was all said and done?
Doesn't seem like
it from what we're looking.
No, I've not seen that. No, so no other team really made a move to me that would make me say that, all right, this really has me worried about the Knicks in terms of the postseason. Like, James Harden on the Cavs, whatever.
I was going to bring that up, John. I was bringing that up for you. I was like, John is shading the Cavs by not bringing up James Harden.
I'm supposed to worry about James Harden doing well in the postseason? Is that what you're telling me? I'm worried about? Really? No, not. I'm good.
I'm with you. That move. I'm trying to be nice about that move. That move was like, okay. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like, all right, like, I don't think if you're a Knicks fan, that should scare you in any kind of way, especially if you get to a game 6 or game 7 against them. I think it should give you confidence. That's how I feel. But
and then who's he going to guard? I mean, like, James Harden, like, he's going to give up open threes all over the place. Like, nah, that honestly does not worry me even a little bit. Not even thinking twice about that move.
I think he might guard McHale. I don't know, I'm thinking about it. In those matchups?
I mean,
because if you're not worried about McHale going to the rim,
put him on Hart.
Yeah, but he's going to sag off of him and give up wide open baseline threes all game.
I think
Harden's lazy.
I think, yeah. McHale will backdoor cut him to death. I think that's.
He will do that too. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And by the way, how about running?
That's the main thing.
And how about running out on fast breaks? Like, Harden will actually have to run with him. McHale likes to run out. He likes to get some fast break layups. He's going to make Harden run. James Harden does not like to run. He likes to slowly meander.
I think the Boston one, to your point, John, is more of an interesting move, because also from a rebounding perspective, like, they'll be able to at least mitigate some of what the Knicks could do on the glass, maybe, like, in theory. I think that's what they're going for. I don't think they're going to out-rebound Mitchell Robinson and Karl Anthony Towns necessarily, but Vucevic and Kata, and with the gang rebounding that the team has otherwise, like that does do something to their team that's a different look than what Simons was giving them, where it's like, okay, small, undersized guy who can shoot the lights out at times. But Vucevic, like now in a different situation in Boston, I think that's the one that's most interesting, where it's like, oh, and they're getting Tatum back. Like, maybe they don't make some of the same mistakes stylistically that they did last year.
No, I agree. I think that's interesting. And Vucevic does have history, man. He does hit threes against the Knicks, man. Like he has had many games where he has shot the lights out against the Knicks. So I think that is something to keep an eye on. But look, the Celtics know how to win. If the Knicks have to play them, if they're playing them in the second round, 2-3 seed, whatever that ends up looking like, especially if the Celtics get home court, hopefully they don't. That's a dangerous, dangerous series.
Yeah, I would agree. So, John, do you like? I mean, look, the Knicks are on an 8-game winning streak right now. They're playing very good basketball. The confidence level's high. The defenses looked a lot better than it did in mid-January. I guess two-part question: do you like where this team is, and are you confident in this roster going forward in terms that they really and truly can compete for a championship?
Yes, I feel pretty good about it. And to me, in the end, this is going to come down to Karl Anthony Towns, who a lot of times you don't know what version of him is going to show up. Is he going to do stupid things and commit a bunch of offensive fouls? Again, the foul trouble and get into trouble. Is he going to defend well? Is he not going to defend well? Is he going to rebound well? Is he not going to rebound well? Can he take advantage of mismatch when teams switch smaller players onto him? You talk about, people talk a lot about the Brunson Cat 2-man game and why it hasn't been as effective. It's because teams switch it and Towns can't beat the switches. So you can't do pick and pop and pick and roll if the team just switches the action. Like that's not what those plays are designed to beat. They're designed to beat, shows and get backs or whatever, not switches. So to me, this is all going to come down to Towns and whether or not he truly plays like the Knicks' second best player or not in the postseason. If he does, they have a chance to win the whole thing. If he doesn't, they probably are not going to make the NBA Finals.
Does him playing like the Knicks' second best player, because I think it's a great point you bring up, but I guess the question I'd have, John, is what does that look like? Does that look like what we've seen from him recently, where he's not forcing the action and he's helping the team win in a variety of ways? And I'll also even give him credit. I know this is going to sound crazy. Last night, he has 6 fouls and he fouled out. The second time in this 8-game winning streak that he's fouled out. Every other game, he's had 3 fouls or less, including a game where he had no fouls against Toronto. But I thought he played some pretty good defense. Is it more of that, seeing him play pretty good defensively, even if the scoring numbers aren't off the charts? What does it look like to you where he's the second best player for the Knicks?
Dexter, I think that's a great question. I think it's both. He doesn't have to be a great defender, but don't just be lost, right? Don't play 5 feet back on the high screen and roll and give up pull-up threes. Just get your hands up and contest at the rim. He's so big and long. If he doesn't have to jump even, just get in there and put your hands up and don't foul and go straight up, right? So doing those sorts of things and not putting your head down and try to drive into 3 guys, miss the shot, fall down and give up transition baskets. Like it's like little things like that, right? Just don't do the bad things. When you have an open 3, take the open 3. Don't pump fake and drive into the defense and put up some kind of weird shot, yell for a foul and fall down. Like it's things like that are almost more mentally for him than it is anything physically. Like if he can just do those things and figure out how to be a smarter player in those ways, that's to me where the answer lies for Karl Anthony Towns.
Yeah, and it feels like recently he's played more under control. I've talked a little bit about this, and it's been refreshing to see. That's why I said I know if you watch the game last night, you'll see 6 fouls, but they weren't in the matter. It wasn't like the Philadelphia game. Philadelphia game, he was out of control, and this wasn't like that last night. He played good defense. Right. He didn't have bad fouls. There's a difference between using your fouls and then there's bad fouls. And a lot of times we've seen this season bad Karl Anthony Towns fouls. We did have a trade that just came in late. Well, it's not a trade. Excuse me. It's a transaction.
It's a transaction. Pretty surprising one.
The Nets are waiving Cam Thomas.
Really?
Now, yes. yeah, John. That was my reaction. Brian just showed it to me. People probably saw that.
I did. I was wondering what that was.
Wanting him.
Yeah, Knicks fans are going to want him now. Somebody's going to want the scoring. Would you want the Knicks to sign Cam Thomas?
That's crazy.
I mean, can him and Jordan Clarkson coexist on
No.
the same team?
John, I don't even know what that looks like in practice. No, thank you.
No one else could shoot. No one else is going to shoot. It's just they're just taking turns, put them on opposite teams, and just let them go.
Oh man,
That is crazy.
You want to talk about
What?
two guys who've never seen a shot they don't like?
But that also says the Nets tried to, which we know. Like, first of all, people were surprised that he had to take the qualifying offer. You shouldn't have been. I think they tried to trade him and clearly couldn't, and they're just like, whatever.
You know what this is? This is the equivalent of Knicks fans. I can't believe no one wanted Alonzo Trier. Like, I don't understand. How could no one want him? I'm like, basketball is more than shooting, guys.
Literally
it's more than just
20
shooting.
minutes ago.
Oh, did you really?
Oh my god!
Yeah, because we were talking about Jose Alvarado. Is this somewhat of a Josh Hart thing where he actually could opt in and then extend, but you have to see how it plays out, getting ahead of ourselves. And then that brought us to Cam Reddish, which then brought me to to Alonzo Trier, because the same two types of players or the same two types of fans like those dudes. Where it's like, right. Come on, bro. Like the bucket getters who just like, you know.
I can't believe we had two Alonzo Trier references by two different people in the same show. I can't. But John, I feel you. I hear you. I hear you on this. Knicks fans, I know this is coming, and I'm surprised nobody said it in the chat yet. It's coming.
No, it happened.
Already. Why don't they sign Cam Thomas? And it's like, for what role on this team? As to John's point that he mentioned earlier, which I've been harping on all season, offense is not the problem.
I know the perfect team for him though.
Who?
Milwaukee. Because if you want to tank,
let's get their shots.
Like, let him lead the way.
That's fair. That is fair. All right, so John, you're feeling good about this Knicks team. Any final thoughts on this trade deadline from you? Just going forward the Knicks. Any final?
No, I don't think so. Just that I'm not surprised Giannis didn't get traded. I never thought the Bucks would trade him midseason. I think it's too hard of a deal to make with salaries, and I think they'll get a lot more in the offseason. So I never took that all that seriously. And I think depending on how the Knicks do, how far they go, and what it looks like, I think that could be a serious conversation when we get to June.
Yeah, I think. Let me ask you one other thing. Are you concerned at all with this Deuce injury, or are you like me, where you look at injuries sometimes and are like, "Hey, it happening now in early February is a blessing, and he can get right and get back for the playoffs." How do you view this injury, this sports hernia for Deuce McBride?
I mean, I don't love it. I mean, I'd rather they have him be out there, but am I going to lose sleep over it? Probably not. I think they'll survive without him, as valuable as he is, and I like Deuce. He's a good player. But, if you can get him back leading up to the postseason, maybe for a couple of games, or at least get him on the practice court to get him rolling a little bit, I just want to make sure he looks like himself and is max Deuce McBride by the second round. If he could do that, I think they'll be fine.
I agree. It's going to be interesting to see. All right, everybody. That is my guy, John Schmeelk. Check him out. He's a contributor to the Knicks Film School. Also check him out. Doing fantastic stuff with the Giants. John, before I let you go, I ask you something, because I know our guy Brandon London is going to be all on this. John Harbaugh in for the Giants. Do you have a prediction? I know we have no free agency yet, but I guess you say, how much improvement do you think John Harbaugh will deliver for the Giants in 2020?
Look, no free agency, no draft yet. So, I mean, we don't know what the heck this team's even going to look like. They don't even have their coaching staff announced yet, right? So, even though we know who some of the guys are going to be, I think what I've been saying is that you hope when like mid-December and they put those big graphics up before the games of division leaders, wild card teams, and in the hunt, you hope the Giants are on. You think the Giants should be able to be on that graphic. Just be on the graphic.
That's fair.
Be on the playoff graphic in mid-December. And I think that's a successful season, and that's
what
I love that.
I love that. I love that, because you know what? When you're not on the graphic, you know your team.
Yeah. They put a lot of teams on the graphic. There's like 8 teams per conference on the graphic. If you're not on the graphic, you're bad. You're bad.
Yeah, you're bad.
I remember seeing the Dolphins 4-7 on the graphic before.
Yeah, exactly.
Nobody in the AFC was that good.
But hey, it means you have a chance to play some meaningful games in December.
Right.
And so you will take that. John, I appreciate you, man. Always get to talk some Knicks basketball and Giants football when I can with you. So I appreciate it, my guy.
Appreciate it, John.
All right, guys. Anytime. Happy to come on.
All right, man. Peace. That's the great John Schmeelk, Knicks Film School, Giants.com. check him out there. I definitely like that point about being on the graphic. And if you root for a team who's not on the graphic in early December,
the Brooklyn Nets are not going to be on the graphic in March.
playoffs.
Audrey Back asked the question: did Colin Sexton get traded? Yes, he's one of the 1 million guards in the Chicago Bulls. So he did get traded. He actually got traded.
Roster is hilarious.
He got traded in the trade that lands Kobe White in Charlotte with the Hornets. So they basically traded small Kobe White for actual Kobe White, or a smaller Colin Sexton for a bigger Colin Sexton, if you want to look at it that way. I think John echoed a lot of what we've been saying about the guard rotation, is what I'll say. And I think the defense. See, this is the thing. Like we always get comments about the offense. And
not enough about defense.
You've hit this point since the beginning of the show for years now. The defense is really what matters the most. And John echoed that. And ultimately, defense still does win championships. Last year, the best team was the best defensive team we've probably seen from a numerical standpoint, and they won a title. Denver, who, while not being a top 11 defense during the regular season, they were down the stretch. And in the playoffs, they got their stops. They ultimately won because they had the best player and also their defense. Like, if the Knicks are not going to be a respectable defense, then they're just ultimately not going to get to the finals.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot you can actually take away from last night's game against Denver as well, too, in which the Knicks went up against the number one offense in the league. Granted, they had some injuries. The Knicks had some injuries as well, too. Yeah. But I thought the Knicks' defensive effort overall was really good. Like, really, really good last night. I know you're going to look at the numbers, and they gave up 127, but it was in 2 overtimes. But I really like that. I really like to go there. Our guy, size 9. Size 9, what's up, man?
It wasn't 4 second-round picks. It was 2.
It was not. It was 2 second-round picks. And who cares? Who cares about where you're drafted? If you're dope, you're dope.
Yeah, if you're good, you're good.
Jalen Brunson is a second-round pick, and he's one of the best players in the league. You know who's the best player in the league?
A second-round pick.
Jokic, a second-round pick.
He would go for 10 first-round picks right now, at least.
If you're getting married to where somebody is drafted, nobody cares. It's either you're producing the league or you're not.
Dalen Terry was a first-round pick. He ain't better than Nikola Jokic.
Yeah, or Jalen Brunson or Jose Alvarado, and he just got traded. Yeah,
Mike Conley's getting waived by the Hornets.
Here we go.
Listen, Mike Conley, I think he'll wind up on a Contender as a backup point guard veteran type,
anymore.
But I think
they don't need another guard.
If you've watched the Timberwolves, it's over. It's over. Jalen Green, by the way, is out today for whatever that's worth. We might get something.
We did not. So I want to clear up something. Size 9, we did not pay 2 second-round picks to get rid of Yabusele. There was no second-round picks in that deal to get rid of Yabusele. It was only 2 second-round picks used for Alvarado. So it's only 2 picks have been done as far as what I've seen.
Yeah, it wasn't 4 picks. It was just 4 picks. It was just 2. Says a lot about
And you know what? Who cares? If even like I would say who cares, but it's just like
we don't even have the final details on the picks.
Right.
What year, what protections they have or don't have. The deadline's over, but there's still potential for something else to be announced.
And another thing, where you're drafted doesn't matter. It's about what your value is in the league right now. When people are making negotiations for trades, nobody's like, well, he wasn't a drafted player, so he's going to cost this much. No, that doesn't happen. That's not how negotiations work. It doesn't matter where you were drafted. What matters is what is your value right now, right? What's your contract? How are you playing? How many years are in your contract? What percentage of the cap? How many years you have left to go? What options do you have? That's what makes your value. Ain't nobody in any of these discussions, any GMs talking about where somebody is drafted. It literally is irrelevant.
By the way, Alley Cat, because he said that I was clouting him for his age. No, I was
not.
No,
we were not.
I think you were about to.
No.
But you wasn't. But he took it seriously and was like, oh, I'm in better shape than you. Sir, I box 3 times a week. And I still work out like 6 times a week. Like, I don't know I don't even know. I don't even know why it matters, but like I don't even.
No. I just want to be clear. We weren't clowning Alley Cat's age. What I was saying, why I started laughing was because when I brought up his age of being 50, and I'm 42, Alley Cat, I was saying that we might have sensibilities about basketball from a previous era and things that we like. That's why I was laughing. I was laughing at you. I like a back to the basket game. So does Brian, and Brian is 10 years younger than me.
Yeah, I do. Again, I think there's a time and a place to do post-ups, but you're not running your offense around posting up.
Yeah,
Joel Embiid leads the NBA in post-ups per game at 5.
Yeah, I wasn't clowning you. I was laughing because I know people are going to be like, "Oh man, this is some old-time basketball." I was laughing at what the perception of that may be, but I like some post-ups.
You know which backup player leads the NBA in post-ups per game? It's Bobby Portis at 2.6. Bobby Portis is not like a
Bobby Portis.
Bobby Portis is not like a great passer. I love Bobby Portis, by the way. Look at that. But he's not like somebody who's gonna like create offense out of the post. Like
Right.
he's either gonna score or he's not.
I just think that player, that type of player, that archetype of player that you may want with that amount, it just doesn't exist as much in the NBA anymore. And in some ways, I don't like that because I think there could still be some more stuff that can happen through the post. But in other ways, like,
It's just the way it's played now.
the game is more skilled and on the perimeter, and there's more that guys can do. So it is everything evolves, man. Like,
Yeah.
that's
It's
what I'm
just
saying.
different
Everything
now.
evolves.
It's just different style of basketball. When the Pacers were beating them in the playoffs, they weren't
Right.
doing it with
I
post-ups.
absolutely was not clowning your age at all. I'm gonna clown your age. I'm 8 years younger than you. I'm not clowning. Why would I do that? No, I'm not. I was not doing that.
East Blue Drew says offense is not the issue. It's definitely defense. And Size 9 asks, how many picks do they have left? Well, we have to find out like what the details of this trade ends up
I
being.
do not think it's going to be the Washington pick
Because
I'd be
that'll
stunned by that.
determine that. I'd be stunned at that too. Now they don't have a ton of picks left, but you do get another one unlocked this summer, which if they end up doing anything, like if they lose in round 2, which, you know, knock on wood, you don't want that to happen, but then the talk is going to be now they got to go all in for Giannis. Now they're going to go all in for Giannis. That's why the picks conversation is relevant. But I would say
it is relevant for that.
But I would say today, because we're dealing with today, like,
can we just get there?
Trade deadline's over, you know.
It's-
So, but we'll find out.
Yeah. Can we just get there? Now my GGJ, Cam Thomas got waived by the Knicks. Can use him with Deuce hurt. Here's why.
I don't think he'd play. I don't think he'd play on the Knicks.
But see, some people are going to hear that and say that's crazy. How is Cam Thomas not playing? Now, I don't think that's crazy. You know why? Because he's Cam Thomas. If you're familiar with Cam Thomas's game, he's going to jack up a lot of bad shots. He damn sure ain't playing no defense. Like how? That's the thing. It's not. If you just like honestly, his shot selection's terrible. So like. But to your point, some people like that kind of player, and like you just want guys to get up shots, and it feels like it looks sexy, but it's not, right?
They don't need him.
Right?
They do not need him.
How does he contribute to winning, other than him getting a streak of buckets? I understand this for some of y'all. All y'all like is buckets, but there's a whole other side to the game. You know what? You got to get stops, and that man is not going to help you get stops. And the Knicks' problem. It's not offense. They are a top 5 offense. It is not offense, guys. They've been getting better defensively. They've been better defensively in the last 2.5 weeks, right? According to Cleaning the Glass, they're up to 13th in defensive rating, right? So they've been better. They are number 3 in offense, according to Cleaning the Glass. They're fine. They just beat the best offensive team in basketball.
On the second of a back-to-back.
On second night of a back-to-back.
They were too, but still.
And they played, and to be fair, they played a tougher game against Detroit the night before.
But look, you won a
Cam
straight.
Thomas, like, come on, man.
Yeah, no, it's not something. It's not something worth seriously entertaining. I do wonder if
Size 9 is right. He said Cam gets a lot of empty points. Yes, sir, you are right about that. Empty is a good word.
I do wonder if they'll be active at all in the buyout market, because it feels like this feels like a year unlike last year, because last year we had serious conversations about like
we were talking about Torrey Craig. I remember last year. Who else were we talking about?
DeLon Wright, who they ended up like getting
in a swap for Jericho Sims.
Right. Yeah, we were talking about him before during the trade deadline. Like, but ultimately, like they have enough guys now, so I don't even know. I don't even know what, like, if there's a PJ Tucker out there. You know what I mean? Like, I don't even think it matters.
I think if they buy somebody out, it's going to be a big.
I think this is the
or
team.
a larger wing, but I don't know who that person's going to be that would fit the buyout market. Like, can you even think of some? I can think of some guards, but I don't.
The only person I could think of, who has not been on a team is Moses Brown, who wouldn't be a buyout guy technically. You would just be signing him to like a 10-day or something and see how it goes. Coincidentally, also played in the Catholic League. Coincidentally, also played around the same time Jose Alvarado did, from Queens. But like, That's it. That's the type of signing I'd probably like try, but it's more of a do I trust Ariel Hukporty in case Mitchell Robinson has to miss time sort of thing. And it seems like Mike Brown does a little bit more, but I don't know.
I think you trust him more than like Pacome Dadier.
I think he'd rather play Ariel Hukporty than veteran X who's not on the team right now.
Yeah, because he's maybe there is something to that point. Like what you've seen with him, you've seen him in practice. He's been around other guys. I think there's ways in Ariel Hukporty's looked good in some spurts and then not looked good in some spurts. He's still a young player in his second year. Like Schmeelk was saying about Kolek. Sometimes you got to take this stuff with a grain of salt and where these guys are in their development and understand why you will or you will not trust them. Now, I'm with you guys, and I think that the Vucevic move, in terms of a move that could impact the Knicks,
that's interesting.
By the Celtics. I thought it was a good move by the Celtics. I thought it was a good use of them getting Anthony Simons, flipping that into a need. They needed to improve their bigs. Listen, the Celtics are a good team. They're coached very well by Joe Mazzulla.
Mm-hmm. They're going to learn. They strike me as a team that's going to learn from their mistakes.
Yes,
and getting 2 3-point heavy last year.
And they're a little bit more disciplined in that this year. Mm-hmm. And I think that's been better for them.
They have more of a defensive identity.
I have a lot of respect for the Celtics. I know we are. I'm not saying I like Boston because that's not what we do here as New Yorkers. We don't do that. But I have respect for them, and I think they're very well coached. And I think that's a good move. And I think Vucevic can fit in. Now, Vucevic is a guy where you're going to look at, and they're going to try to hide him, like Schmeelk said, I think on people like Hart. Mm-hmm. But you want to see the Celtics series now, a series where you're going to be looking at Cat like, yo, man.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, man, you got to cook. Like, you got to cook here. And we'll see if that happens. But that, I think, to me, was the most interesting move. I think the Pistons getting some shooting is that. Mm-hmm. I still think the Knicks have the most talented team in the East. That doesn't mean they're going to win. You have to go out and execute. I do think they have the most talented team. I think they're the most balanced team.
You have to be healthy, too.
That happens a lot. And Size 9 brought up some good points here that I do agree with him. He said the East tightened up, and he's particularly talking about for next year, which I agree with the Pacers.
I think this year to some extent. I mean, because of the moves we talked about. Like, small, but also I don't. If the Knicks are the most talented team, the next team is not all the way down here.
No,
you know what I mean. Like the gaps are close between a lot of these teams. I do think they have the most talent, but that doesn't mean you're going to win. I wouldn't say the Pacers were the most talented Eastern Conference team last year.
I mean, what did I say? After 41 games last
year,
they
were the deepest.
22-19, which also was the point I made weeks ago, which is like this is why you have to remember things are a long season. Mm-hmm. And the Knicks went through a 2-9 stretch in January, and now they've won 8 in a row. And we'll see how they come out of this weekend, which is a huge weekend for them. But we'll see. Jared Schwartz will be joining us in about 10 minutes to talk more about this trade deadline as we wrap up here with you. East Blue Drew says Mo Diawara has been looking better each game, so I expect him to play more. I do too. I'm a big fan of Diawara.
I think Mike Brown really
likes him. You can see how Mike Brown trusts him. Again, I've been saying this for weeks. He never looks lost to me on defense for a rookie. And that's the important thing. He's getting more confident in his shot. He even had a good rim attack yesterday. I like how he plays. I think the vets like him. Maybe you could argue the mistake is that, and I understand why the Knicks couldn't do it because they were up against the second apron. But it's like, man, could they have signed him to another deal? Now we're moving off of Yabusele, and we'll see what happens with Alvarado picking up his option or not. The Knicks do have some flexibility to bring back Diawara next year. And still re-sign Mitchell Robinson. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do with him. But Diawara, man, I'm a fan of Mo Diawara, and I really like how he's developing, and we'll see how he further develops. I'm intrigued to see what he does with the full offseason.
Another piece of news. No teams were willing to make a quote-unquote serious offer for John Morant per Shams.
So earlier today, one of our associate producers asked me, he said, what do you think about John Morant getting moved? He said, what he first said to me, do I think there'll be any big shocking moves? This was after news for Giannis. I said, no. And if you look at it, there really hasn't. I mean, honestly, one of the more shocking things that have happened in the last couple of hours is Cam Thomas getting waived. That's probably one of the most shocking things.
Tuesday and Wednesday were definitely better than Thursday.
Sure. But then he brought up John Morant, and I said, what's the market for John Morant?
Mm-hmm.
No teams made any serious offers for John Morant. And I won't call this an argument, but I had a spirited discussion with somebody recently.
Okay, Mark Lamont Hill. He says that all the time. He's like, we didn't have an argument. Me and my wife had a spirited discussion. He says this on the Joe Budden podcast.
Sometimes you got to know where it's like a line. There's a thin line between the spirited discussion and the argument. Is all I'm saying. It's thin sometimes.
Shout out to Mark.
But you know it. Shout out to Mark Lamont Hill. But look, John Morant. Don't tell me what you think about what he used to be.
Mm-hmm.
And see how this works, Size 9? He was a number 2 pick. What's his value? What's his value? What is his value? And Size 9 is with me. Said his game is falling off a cliff, which I agree. And his maturity still hasn't arrived.
He's missed close to half the available games he could have played over the last 5 years. Now, some of that is, Memphis, the way they handled the injuries, but also he gets hurt a lot. Hyper athletic guard who can't shoot, could never shoot, can't defend, doesn't defend.
Doesn't finish at the rim with the same eliteness that he used to.
And other teams' fan bases, like Heat fans, Bucks fans, I'm trying to remember who else, but like, they should, you got to go get John. It's like, why? He was the face of the league or in the face of the league conversations in 2022. And it's like, that he shouldn't have been. Like, why was he in those conversations having won one playoff series?
Because I think people like to jump on what's going to be the next best thing. And I think that had a lot to do with it. But for all the things you said, which is right, the knocks on his game, and I think it's kind of exposed. Can you build a team in today's NBA around that kind of lead guard? I would say no. And he does not. His biggest thing was that he was elite at was finishing at the rim. He does not finish at the rim at an elite rate. I could pull up the numbers here. I've looked at it recently.
Yeah, it's drastically true shooting
down.
Is not good. Look, the one thing you need to take away from the trade deadline is the league is telling you something about how they feel about certain archetypes every year, and this always changes. Like we talked about post-up bigs. And you saw gradually how the league felt about post-up bigs after a while, what Al Jefferson's value was and how quickly it diminished. Or big centers like Roy Hibbert, for example, who couldn't really move gracefully in that way or who couldn't really shoot. The league told you how they felt about these dudes.
Now, those dudes weren't good players.
And now the guys like Cam Thomas, Anthony Simons, Tyler Hero, these one-way guards who are hyper offensive, who don't really defend, who have deficiencies on that end of the floor, and who need the ball to be effective. John Morant is a hyper-athletic guard who can't really shoot and doesn't defend that well. Like, the league is telling you how they feel about these dudes and building an offense around them and knowing it's not sustainable. If you're going to be somebody who commands the ball, you have to be elite. You have to be Jalen Brunson, basically. Because if you're going to be a negative on defense, then you have to be able to do what Jalen Brunson does, what Donovan Mitchell does, what Tyrese Maxey does, even though I'm not so sure he's a negative on defense, but you get what I'm saying. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who's not a negative on defense.
No, not at all.
You have to take advantage of the usage, and some of these other guys don't. So the league is telling you how they feel about these one-way guys. So you have to have as many two-way guys as possible. If not, they have to be super elite on one end of the floor.
All right, so I just want to we'll have Jared Schwartz joining us very shortly, but our Stefan Bondy just put out a tweet a couple minutes ago, and these are the details about the moves that the Knicks made. So he said, heard the Knicks trades are working out as two separate transactions. Yabusele to Chicago for Dale and Terry, no picks involved. Terry to New Orleans for Jose Alvarado. It's a 2026 second-round pick and a 2027 second-round pick. So it looks like those will not be the Washington pick that would convey into 2 seconds. That would be 2 very good seconds. Well, it's going to be interesting now with Washington because it might be in the 40s now, maybe in the 30s, but still decent picks. Again, this is what I thought. Steph was saying that he thought it was possible. It could have been a 3-team deal. It is 2 separate deals. And I think this is a great piece of business. Great work by Leon Rose here. You basically traded Yabusele and the 2 second-rounders for Jose Alvarado. You traded a player. Again, this is what it comes down to me. Like Steph said, you traded a player who was not in the rotation and playing and not contributing and was not a good fit with your team for a player who absolutely will play and should contribute to your team.
Yeah,
it's not even that deep, and sometimes that is, and it's like, how's that a bad thing?
Yeah.
You get nothing. You're getting nothing. Zero from Gershon Yabusele.
Yeah, and
Zero.
you got off his money as well. Like he has a player option next year for about $6 million. You get off that. Maybe he's good in Chicago. Maybe it fits better around Josh Giddey. Maybe they need his shooting.
So they need some big on that roster because all they got is guards. They had to get somebody.
Yeah,
that's
like,
probably why they did the trade too.
Yeah, like I think Chicago. You know what? I'm not even gonna give their front office credit. I'm just gonna say I think maybe Chicago believes, hey, he could potentially be good next year or later this year with them, and they probably looked at Dalen Terry and were like, well, we know what we're getting, so let's try something else.
We don't even know if Dalen Terry is going to stay with New Orleans. Who knows? Sean Collins, 2131, said it's Miles' injury, regular season, or also playoffs. It appears right now it is just regular season. The expectation, according to our Stefan Bondy, is that the recovery will put him back for the playoffs. Now, that's an interesting term by Steph because that doesn't mean start of playoffs. That's not what it said. It said put him back for the playoffs. It could be he misses the first round. I don't know. It just says so. That's interesting. I think it's hard to tell right now. You have to wait till he undergoes the surgery. When there will be a timetable for his recovery after that, and then obviously once he starts working on the court and starts ramping things up, we will have more information for you as well.
Plus minuses and everything, but you want to guess who had the third best on-off on the Pelicans this year?
Jose Alvarado.
Plus 3.3.
There we go.
After Yves Missi, who's plus 10.4.
Yeah.
and Herb Jones second.
Okay. Yeah.
For Jose's career, by the way, his on-off is plus 5.4. And last year was the only year he was better, just barely a point. But his rookie year and his third year, double digits, 11.7 and 10.4, which is basically where Deuce has been this year.
Deuce has been crazy with that. So that's it. All right. We got my guy joining us, our great sports writer for the New York Post. Yeah, I see him all the time in Knicks games. I was with him last night. We were intrigued. We thought we were getting out of the game early, right, Jared? We thought we were getting out of MSG early last night, and then we had a double overtime thriller. Jared Schwartz from the New York Post. Jared, what's going on, man?
Not much, Dexter. We were saying nice 7:00 early start, not a 7:30 game, a 7:00 start, in and out, be home, be in bed, and then we get 2 OTs and a midnight trade. So so much for that plan.
Yeah, midnight trade. Actually, Jared and I were walking out of the Garden at the same time last night, and then I get to the train and I see this trade goes down, and I'm like, oh, okay. So we're not getting any sleep here, but we were fine. So we made it. Jared, I guess I ask you what we started with everybody. What do you make of what the Knicks did business-wise, moving on from Gershon Yabusele and then acquiring Jose Alvarado? We like the move here. What do you say?
Yeah, I mean, I was listening to you guys a little bit before, and when you break it down, it's really Yabusele and 2 picks for Alvarado. And when you break it down like that, you're getting a guy, like you said, who was out of Mike Brown's rotation. He was playing 3, 4, 5 minutes a night in the last 3 games, wasn't playing at all as they looked to trade him. For a guy who, especially now without Miles McBride for the foreseeable future, will have a significant role as a backup point guard. Tyler Kolek around the NBA Cup was kind of breaking out. It was like, oh yeah, he might be able to handle backup point guard duties. The last month, not so much. His role is diminished under Mike Brown. Yesterday, I thought it was really noticeable to me that the Nuggets were pressuring him really aggressively when he had the ball, and yep. He had a couple turnovers. It kind of became clear they need an upgrade at backup point guard. It's something they thought coming into the year. It's something they thought they had with Malcolm Brogdon before he retired. It's something they thought maybe Tyler Kolek could fill during the season, and it's something that they realized in recent weeks they needed an upgrade, and they found an upgrade. He's from New York City. Anybody who's watched him play knows what his strengths are. He's gonna get up in your face. He's gonna guard you full court. He's gonna get under your skin. He's gonna be aggressive. And he's gonna, I remember we did a video a couple of weeks ago, and we're talking about the Knicks needing some bite, and that was before this 8-game winning streak. But we said that they need some bite. Alvarado certainly provides some bite. And when the first trade happened last night, Yabusele for Dalen Terry, it was like, wow, the Bulls are taking this without needing any picks. Like the Knicks aren't attaching any picks because to get out of, they're getting an expiring contract in Terry, and the Bulls are taking a guy with a pretty substantial player option for next year. Right around $5.5-6 million. So to get out of that and just to get out of that contract was a win, regardless of who they got back. And then to turn their package and 2 seconds for Alvarado, that's a pretty, the Bulls come out third worst. And, I know it's 2 separate deals, but the Bulls seem like they come out third worst in this, string of transactions. So, you break it down, Yabusele and 2 seconds for Alvarado. I think a couple days ago, people would say if the Knicks gave up Yabusele in a couple seconds just to get rid of his contract, they would do that. And now they're getting Alvarado as a prize. So that's a big plus.
I think it's fair to question what the Bulls were thinking. And I don't know how they didn't get any pick, because that was a shock for me. Jared, I was going home last night and I saw this trade and I texted Brian too. I'm like, how did they not give up a pick? Like, how did Leon Rose pull this off?
It tells you how they feel about Dalen Terry. I'm telling you.
It does. I agree. And for me also, I did think the Knicks would try to do some business today and try to flip it around with trying to get a player like Jose Alvarado. As you said, they've been targeting him for quite some time. Should fans be disappointed, Jared, that no other moves were made? We do have some concern from fans in the chat about size. They wish the Knicks had added a little bit more size here. Do you think fans is it fair for them to be concerned that no other moves were made, or is this roster good enough as it is going forward?
I mean, they do. Yabusele was signed to have a role, right? Like he was signed in the offseason. He was the biggest free agency signing in 2 years since Dante DiVincenzo. Like he wasn't just an around the margins guy. He was supposed to have a big role as depth as a big man, depth behind Mitch, depth behind Cat, better than Ariel Hukporti as, a backup to those guys. And now they don't have that. But it's not really like they haven't really had that all year because Yabusele has struggled in that role. But Mitch is someone who's healthy right now, but he's certainly always, a day or one play or 1 minute or one wrong step away from a setback and an injury. So right now they're okay. One injury and maybe not. They're Ariel Hukporti is their main depth behind those two big guys, behind Cat and Mitchell Robinson. He's a decent rebounder. He can protect the rim a little bit, but he's not very experienced, and he's had some mixed results. So they are shell. They traded big man depth for guard depth. They traded big man depth that wasn't really contributing to guard depth that should come in right away and contribute. Could they have made another move? Maybe. I think that would have taken, for Yves Missy, that would have taken a big package. I think this was about what most people expected, a move for a little bit of depth and giving up a couple assets for a little bit of depth. It makes them better. So I think they're a better team today than they were yesterday. And look, they're riding an 8-game winning streak. They've been a little bit like Dr. Jekyll and Hyde, Mr. Hyde, for a couple months, they were riding high. They were winning the NBA Cup and they looked like they couldn't lose. Then it seemed like the season was spiraling away for them for about a month, and they lost 9 of 11 games. Now they've won 8 in a row. And are they a perfect team? No, but I think Alvarado fills one of their more important holes on their roster. It's a point of attack defender, a guy with a little snarl, a little bite. He's a capable ball handler behind Brunson, which, Kolek was struggling in. If he plays with Brunson, that helps Brunson play more off the ball, which is something that Mike Brown always wants, is him to play off the ball. And if he plays with Brunson, it helps hide Brunson's defensive deficiencies a little bit. And, and we can't talk about it without talking about the loss of Deuce. Losing Deuce for probably the rest of the regular season, that's a big loss. And Alvarado is not Deuce, but he does some similar things. And, once they lost McBride, that is, the depth at guard became their biggest weakness, and they filled it. So, I think it's a pretty successful deadline.
It's funny. My producer had sent me something that I had totally forgot that I'd seen last night. I don't know if you saw it. Did you see a friend of the show, CP the Franchise, had retweeted that Gershon Yabusele had commented in the comment section. I can't remember if this was on IG.
I did see that. Yes.
Yeah, it was on Instagram.
It was on IG, and he commented. He was kind of insinuating that Mike Brown his system was to blame for his lack of success with the team.
Well, you know what's interesting?
Yeah, go ahead.
Is he actually signed before Mike Brown was officially hired?
This is true.
Brown was at the time, heavily linked to be the next coach, but Yabusele, I believe it was a day before, he signed, and then the next day Brown was kind of officially, reported as the head coach. So it's not like Brown was there and established and said, I want Yabusele to in my rotation. Yabusele came before Mike Brown, and it did seem like a little bit of a weird fit. Like, he's slower, he's not, light on his feet, to put it softly. But look, he also just didn't look like the same player that he was with the 76ers last year. And I think part of that is the 76ers were a pretty rough team last year with a lot of youth and a lot of guys who weren't part of their core playing, and it's just a product of Yabusele played a lot of minutes on a bad team and put up stats. And look, it's kind of funny because he's a really nice guy in the locker room. Like, he's great to deal with. Through this whole process was really open and honest. But he also, had some Twitter fingers, recently when he was when he talked, like the Instagram comment kind of talking about the system not fitting him. I think a week or so ago he retweeted a French account that kind of said, "We just want him in a good situation." So
saw that.
So he's a really nice guy, but he also has not shied away from the fact that maybe this wasn't a great fit. Maybe this is not the right system for him. And hey, maybe he goes to the Bulls and looks good. Maybe in a different system, another team, he looks better. But everything that he was supposed to be, he wasn't. He was supposed to be a guy who can guard bigs, a guy who can shoot, from beyond the perimeter, a guy who got a lot of rebounds, a guy who was tough, a guy who was strong, and like, he shot really poorly. He was often lost on offense. Defensively, constantly, like when he would get switched, he would get hunted and get switched up on guards. More than a few times his teammates were kind of pointing and asking, and looking at him like he did the wrong thing. When he was out there, you could tell, like, he kind of he stood out as like
in a bad way.
Yeah.
In a bad way. Yeah. Like, he just looks slow. I mean, he's one of the heavier players in the league, and he just kind of looked slow, and that's not good.
Yeah, no. It's like watching. This is not a joke about people of a certain set, but it's like watching the offensive linemen get beat over and over, because you don't notice the offensive linemen when they're actually good and doing their job, but when they get beat over and over, they start to stick out. Jared, let me ask you this: given what we've come to know about Mike Brown, how do you think he'll take a liking personally to Jose Alvarado? In terms of just his play style, the energy, which is what we've talked a lot about, obviously, and the ways he can utilize him.
Yeah, that energy. I think, him as a point of attack defender, that's something we've talked about so often this year with the Knicks, that it's supposed to be Mikal Bridges, and it just hasn't been this whole year. That he's struggled in that role. He's often been taken out of that role for Deuce and Shamet. So Jose Alvarado will immediately be someone who can fill that role that we might see at the end of games, filling that role. Like last night, Bridges had a pretty rough game, to put it lightly.
They're pretty rough, Jared.
Yeah. In games past, he would be on the bench at the end of the game if Deuce was healthy, and Deuce would be on the floor as the point of attack defender to guard Jamal Murray. He wasn't healthy, so it had to be Bridges. And Bridges struggled with that. So right away, that's something that Alvarado can fill. Because already we've seen Shamet and Deuce were filling that role more so than Mikal Bridges, especially at the end of games. Especially at the end of games in crunch time. So now with no Deuce, Alvarado, I think will definitely fill that role. And Mike Brown always talks about, their shooting is nice. Deuce and Shamet were shooting great from 3-point range, but he always talked about their ability to navigate screens, to get over screens, to not get switched off of ball handlers, to pressure ball handlers. Those were always the things that Mike Brown pointed to, and that's certainly something that Jose Alvarado does well, and I think that's something that Mike Brown will really appreciate. It's something that they need more of. The Deuce and Shamit had emerged as guys who can do it. They need more of it for sure. And I think you'll have some fun mixing and matching. Playing Alvarado with Jalen Brunson on the floor at the same time.
Yeah, definitely.
Allowing Brunson, because his whole big thing has been wanting Brunson to play off the ball and wanting him to come off screens and get open shots and not have to pound the ball into the ground over and over again. But they haven't really had a great ball handlers to allow him to do that. Again, Bridges has kind of struggled with that. When Kolek comes in the game, you could tell from the scouting report of opposing defenses get right up in his face and try to poke the ball away. They don't respect him at all. Josh Hart is their best non-Brunson facilitator. When Josh Hart is out there, he's the only guy who really can take pressure off Jalen Brunson and be the orchestrator. So now Alvarado, no, he's not. He's not. I don't think the first thing you don't think of is playmaking, but he's a better ball handler than most of what they have, and that's a big plus too.
Yeah, I think it's huge. I'm gonna you touched on something, Jared, and it's funny. You and I were talking about this on our way out the garden last night. How I feel like with this, I'm always trying to make sure I ask this the right way. Brian's now looking at me all nervous.
Yeah, because I'm like, which direction are you going to go on with this?
Mikal Bridges.
Oh, okay.
Because he had a rough game last night, and I feel like that's us being very nice. And I want to be clear. He had a big defensive play in the second overtime. Yep. He also hit a huge three.
He also had a big one in the first overtime that sent it to the second overtime.
You mean not a good defensive play? A big not good defensive play.
Just a defensive play, yeah.
So, and he shot the ball terribly last night, except for hitting that big
42 minutes.
I agree with the point that you made that if Josh Hart was healthy last night and Deuce McBride was healthy last night, he would not have closed that game the way he was playing. He's been up and down even through this 8-game winning streak. Does it concern you in the way he's playing, or should Knicks fans feel, I don't want to say comfortable, but better that you can rely on some guys like Landry Shamet and Deuce McBride when he was healthy, and now hopefully Jose Alvarado, if he can come in and contribute, that if Mikal Bridges doesn't have it, you can go to that? Or do you look at the other way and it's like, man, y'all gave up 5 first-round picks, and this is what we're seeing?
I mean,
how do you look at it?
It is pretty uncanny that sometimes his worst games, he finds ways to make big plays late. Like obviously the playoffs last year in Boston, those games he sealed in Boston with the game-winning blocks and steals. Like those were some of his worst games. And I remember I was on sidebars that day for us, and I was getting ready. I was writing my story about a Bridges stinker game, and then all of a sudden he becomes the hero in the last 30 seconds. So he does have this weird thing where, like, some of his worst games, then he makes like a really big play, like he did last night. But the one thing is like with the 5 first-round picks, like you can't get out of that. So like it is what it is. The trade was what the trade. I think if you would go back, they wouldn't do it if they knew this is what they were going to get. But I think you got to look at him as he is, not as, is he worth 5 first-round picks? Because he's not worth 5 first-round picks. He's just not. And the whole thing was we could use those picks to get Giannis, and Giannis just tweeted the Wolf of Wall Street meme where he said, "I'm not going anywhere," or he just posted on Instagram the Wolf of Wall Street thing where he said,
"I was going to ask you about that actually." Did you see that? He said, he tweeted with the caption, by the way, Jared, "Legends don't chase, they attract." With the 100 emoji and the sunglasses emoji, with the Wolf of Wall Street, Leonardo DiCaprio, "I'm not leaving."
No,
it's the corniest bit in the NBA.
You can't. I'm sorry, I know it's getting sidetracked here, and I don't care. But you can't do what happened over. You can't like we forgot the last couple of weeks. Like you hit me with the Men in Black flash, and I'm going to forget what happened the last couple of weeks here. Like we all know you had 1 foot out the door. I had Henry Abbott on with me from True Hoop talking about that, and everybody knows he has 1 foot out the door, but he doesn't want to come and say it. And now you want to say you want to attract, and I have to ask a fair question: who's dying to go to Milwaukee?
Yeah, it's a nice little city.
See, Jared, you would be Jared, you would be nicer to me while slightly throwing shade at the same time.
Like the whole thing with Mikal is we could have used those picks for Giannis. We could have used those picks for Giannis, and Giannis.
Right.
I mean, it's not like anybody else stole Giannis away from them, but The
Not
thing with
yet.
Bridges, it's so weird because after the Blazers game, I believe, after the Toronto game when he scored 30 points, he had this big coming to moment. He was honest and he said, I looked in the mirror and I did some self-reflection and I was playing with some entitlement. I wasn't being coachable and I made this attitude shift and I think I'm for the better. And it's like, oh wow, like this is one of the most honest answers I've ever seen. He's he's putting the blame on himself. He's taken onus of of his poor play. And then like he hasn't done anything since then.
Nope.
He had two rough games in a row. He was good against on Tuesday night against the Wizards, and then again last night. And what was most concerning last night was like not necessarily that he wasn't shooting well. He wasn't shooting. Like I think he took 4 shots like before the first overtime. I think he finished with 8. Like his stat
8 in
line,
49 minutes.
Yeah, I mean that's like you go long stretches of the game and you forget he's out there and he's out there for like every minute.
Yes, 100%.
And like I get it, his role in this offense, him and OG is primarily to stay in the corners and wait for kickouts or Mike Brown likes to say sprays, which is just a kickout, and get open threes in the corners. But like I don't know if he has to be more aggressive or his teammates have to find him more, but he can't have 4 shots in the fourth quarter. He can't finish with 8 shots. Like
Completely agree.
He needs to, that's not like, and maybe that's part of his whole coachable thing is that he's trying to let the game come to him and he's not trying to force things and he's trying to play off other guys. But a guy of his stature, a guy who plays that many minutes, especially if he's losing that role as a point of attack defender, and now he's becoming more passive on offense, like he's becoming less impactful on both ends of the floor, not more impactful. And like you got to find ways to impact. Like he's not impacting the game, and he's someone who plays all these minutes, and he does some little things, but he's not making big impacts on the game, and he's playing more minutes than anybody. So I do think it's concerning. It's weird that like a week ago, it was like wow, like he had this this great epiphany, and he's going to be better for it now. And then like a week later, we're talking like yeah, maybe not. I mean, it was a great quote, but maybe not much has actually changed.
Yeah,
we were doing the live watch party.
It was the Raptor game.
The Raptor game.
Since then, 12 points a game.
And it's 12 points a game since then.
10 shots a game.
When the quote came, I think Brian asked me, "Well, what did I make of that?" And I said, "Sounds like somebody who doesn't want to be traded."
Yeah,
that's what I took out of it. Like Jared, I did respect the honesty. I love it because you're right. I think as journalists, we sometimes don't get enough of that, especially like raw in those moments after a game like that where he said that too. And I think there's truth to what he was saying. I don't want to say it make it sound like I think Mikal Bridges was lying because I don't. But he's got to be better. I think the way you put it was perfect. He has not been as impactful on both sides of the ball, and you need to see him much better, at that. Like that has to happen for him going forward. With that being said, Knicks are now headed to Detroit, then they're headed to Boston. This feels like a big weekend for them. What do you need to see from them this weekend? Because I think there's going to be a lot of fans, Jared, that say, okay, we saw 2-9, they've won 8 in a row, but now this weekend right here, you got to show me something.
It's always
what do you see from them? Yeah,
I always say it's so incredible how quickly sentiment and discourse can change. When they won the FA, I was going to say the FA Cup. When they won
FA Cup.
look at you thinking we're going to get to that team.
The footballs.
We're going to get to that team you root for later because I'll say we'll hold on to that. Yeah.
When they won the NBA Cup and they beat the Spurs and the Spurs had just beaten the Thunder, it was like, damn, they look like a contender. Like they look like the best team in the East. I don't care if the Pistons have a better record. They look like the best team in the East. They just took down the Spurs. They took down the Magic, who had given them some trouble. They were clicking all cylinders. Mike Brown was, a savior. And then they lose 9 out of 11 games. And it's like Mike Brown was not the answer. Bring back Tibbs. They need to trade Cat. They need to go get Giannis. They need to make major moves. They got to go get Drew Holiday. They got to go get Jeremy Grant, or it's the season's falling apart, and then they win 8 in a row, and now we're right back to they're right there back in the East. They topple the Lakers and LeBron and Luka. They topple the Nuggets with Jokic. A commanding win over the Raptors. And now all of a sudden we're back. So then now we have a weekend against the two teams right around them, above them and below them in the East. And just wait till they lose these two. All those good vibes will go away, and all those bad vibes come right back. Or
100%.
if they win both, it's they're gonna be you're gonna have to rip fans off of 8th Avenue, from talking too much. So these games will definitely mean something to fans. Look, they got punked last time in Detroit, like they just did. Like they didn't just lose, they got punked, and that was right when that their problems were starting to percolate. And they got out muscled. The Pistons are a physical, tough, aggressive team, and they're really tough to beat at home. And they're playing in Detroit again. And then the Knicks, flat out probably weren't ready for that game, and they were pretty honest in with themselves after and admitting that. So what do you have to see? You have to see the match or exceed that physicality, because none of the teams they've been in this streak, like they've beaten some good teams for sure, and the Nuggets and the Lakers and the Raptors. But none of them are overly like physical teams that are going to get in your face and outmuscle you and try to bully you. And the Lakers and the Nuggets were at home. This is on the road. They won at Toronto, but Toronto's not like some overbearing arena. So this is a tough road game. They gotta show some mettle. They gotta show some bite. Like we keep talking about bite. I doubt Alvarado will be ready for tomorrow's game. But let's see some bite. It'll help if Josh Hart is back, because he's kind of that energizer who gets them going, gets them out in transition. Adds energy to the guys. Plays hard. Will get in a little bit of a tussle if he has to. So it'll help if he plays. But they can't get punked. If they lose, badly by the Pistons again, it'll be concerning. And I think this is a team that when they've lost to someone, they're usually pretty good at the next time they play them at, get back games, sort of. They take it personally and stuff like that. So let's see if they can do that, tomorrow.
Yeah.
Josh Hart is questionable officially to play in this game tomorrow, as is Karl Anthony Towns, because of the laceration. he said that he looked like he fought Shakur Stevenson, which I appreciate. And OG Anunoby is probable with a toe injury.
I think all these guys are playing tomorrow.
I have a feeling.
It'll be nice if we see Alvarado, but probably won't see him until Sunday in Boston. So it'll be interesting. Jared, before I let you go, word on the street, talk to some people, and I heard that you are turning into a Liverpool fan this Sunday. That's what I've heard. I've heard you're going to be rooting for the Reds this Sunday, which I appreciate. It might pain you, but I think it'll be good for you.
It's a dirty game. Last week I was a Tottenham fan. Now I'm a Liverpool fan. It's you got to make your bed with some weird some fans you don't like when you're in a title race with Arsenal. It's Arsenal plays Saturday morning. You can go 9 clear by the time Liverpool plays Man City. So we'll see what happens.
We're gonna try to do our part. I'm just trying to get you to say go Liverpool. You know what I mean? Just trying to get you to do that. Jared, appreciate you. I think the Knicks did a pretty good job at the deadline. Steph gave them a grade of a B+. I think that was a pretty fair grade for them here at the deadline. So we'll see how the Knicks play. They got a big weekend coming up at Detroit, at Boston. Should be pretty fun. And we will catch you soon, my friend. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Always a pleasure.
No problem. That's Jared Schwartz. Check him out with us. New York Post doing a great job covering a bunch of stuff for us, but he's really helped a lot when Steph is out. He's our backup guy with the Knicks, doing a lot of great coverage. So Jared's been around the team a lot this season.
Speaking of football,
Yes.
real quick, my squad is getting their ass whooped in the Copa del Rey quarterfinals right now.
Is it more than 3-0?
It's 3-0 at halftime.
Oh.
Against Atletico Madrid. So not great for my boys at Betis.
That's going to be a long 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Going there. Sorry about that.
Fifth in La Liga, though, hanging on by a thread.
could make Champions League.
Maybe. We're barely 5th, but Espanyol's on our ass.
There you go. Shout out to everybody who rocked with us today in the chat. We appreciate you tapping in. We've done this a couple of years, trade deadline show. It's always been fun. It's always fun when the Knicks make a move. This was better than last year because last year we tried to talk to you guys about Jericho Sims and DeLon Wright, and that was not as fun.
we knew
just,
going in.
You know, what are you gonna do?
Yeah,
you gotta talk about Jericho Sims and DeLon Wright. This is good. Look, I like Steph's grade of a B+.
Yeah,
because I just think what Leon Rose was able to do here was pretty dope. I still can't believe he didn't give a pick to the Bulls, which is amazing. And then getting the Jose Alvarado. I think Alvarado is a great fit here in New York. I think the fans are going to love him. I think he's going to embrace here in New York. The person who made the comment about how this reminded them of the Josh Hart trade, I understand why. It's the kind of guy you get that you say, okay, this guy infuses energy into the team. Josh Hart did that when he came here. I think Alvarado can do somewhat of the same. We'll see. Now we'll just see how the Knicks play with this going forward, how they play going forward with Alvarado in the fold. How long does it take Deuce to get back on the court? All that stuff is going to be interesting, but I think it's a good trade deadline for the New York Knicks.
Yeah, and the key now is how do you match up with your peers? Boston made a move, you made a move, Detroit made a move, Cleveland made a move. Orlando just saved some money. Miami didn't do anything. As a matter of fact, per underdog, 3 teams didn't make a trade out of 27. Although, admittedly, if you look through, especially today, a lot of the deals were kind of whack. Like a lot of them were just like cap cutting moves.
So only teams to make a trade, Heat.
Only teams didn't make a trade. It was 3.
Heat are one of them.
Yes. Which is that fan base is.
Let me think about this for a second. Who else did not make a trade?
They're both Western Conference teams.
Yeah, I realized it was probably Western Conference teams. Oh, they definitely made a trade.
Good Western Conference teams.
Houston.
Yes.
And the Spurs.
There you go. Houston should have made. I think Houston and Miami needed to do something. Miami more so just trying to get stuff for some of the guys they have, or buy into somebody not Giannis. I don't know. Just pick a lane, so to speak. And then Houston, their offense is clunky,
particularly in clutch.
Really, yes, because they're putting their center on Amen Thompson and being like, "You shoot like 2% from 3, not literally, but
for a good defensive team, they just.
Kevin Durant has to.
That's asking a lot for.
They're the team, but I'm like, yo, y'all could use Giannis, but
apparently they don't want to go in all in, or that's smoke because they want to go all in when they have more assets in the summer.
I think Giannis is going to be an off-season thing, and I think if the Cavs flop again, the consolation prize could be Donovan Mitchell, which, by the way, will be a damn good consolation prize for somebody.
Could be. It's going to be interesting, but a good good trade deadline for the Knicks. I'm not trying to be negative. Not there yet.
What are the big games coming up again? We have Detroit, which we're doing a watch party. Watch party tomorrow night, 7:30.
Harrison Sanford from MSG Networks will be our guest. He'll be rocking with us.
Mm-hmm.
Come check that out.
Boston.
Then Boston
Sunday, 12:30. Pacers Tuesday. Maybe New Look Pacers. I think they're going to still try to tank, so we'll see.
We'll see what they do. And then Wednesday to close out against Sixers. That's another watch party we'll do next Wednesday.
First game after the break, Detroit at home.
Yep.
Houston
That's
at home.
also going to be a watch party.
And then, wow.
That was a good stretch there. I've looked at this.
So from February 22nd, which, by the way, is the second of a back-to-back, through March 13th, you have a stretch there where there is 11 games, 9 of them are going to be on the road. And I've been watching the home road thing very closely with this team. Now they've got their 2 biggest road wins, arguably, of the season have been on this winning streak in Philly and Toronto. And if that sounds crazy, they've only got 3 wins against teams over 500 on the road. So we'll see what happens. But that road trip, you're seeing Toronto, you're seeing Denver, you're seeing Cleveland. You're seeing, I don't know what version of Milwaukee, but whatever. Lakers and Clippers on a back-to-back. Utah, who's got a little bit more talent, although they're kind of, I don't know what they're going to do. They might just tank also. So no gimmies there. And then there's another road trip later on that includes Charlotte, Oklahoma City, and Houston late March. March is going to be a tough month.
It's going to be a good test. You want these kind of tests as you ramp for the playoffs. There was one trade that just came in. The Celtics traded Xavier Tillman Sr. to the Hornets. The Celtics, that gets them out of the luxury tax. Hornets, they get $3.5 million in that deal. So last trade.
There's the Mason Plumlee replacement. I don't know how much he's going to play, but
there you go.
Moussa Diabate and Ryan Kalkbrenner are their centers right now. So
we'll see. Once again, shout out to you, the fans. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. Share this with your friends. Tapping with us tomorrow night for the Knicks watch party against the Pistons. It's going to be a big one. Should be a really fun one. Brian and I will be joined, like I said, by Harrison Sanford of MSG Networks. We'll be talking everything, prop bets, different bets with the game. It's going to be a fun one to discuss. Also, shout out to everybody behind the scenes making this work. Executive producer Ryan Sampson, technical director Brian Wiskowski, producer Quincy Young, all in the building, rocking with us here. We appreciate everybody helping us. And we will catch you next time. Another edition of New York Got Game. We'll see what the Knicks do. Everybody be well.